By the Bridges. Find that perfect living space that has a controlled access and fun environment, affordable prices, and steps from buses to all local colleges. For a better living, visit bridgesnd.com.
The Bison Hotline postgame show is broadcasting live this year from Applebee's on 19th Avenue North in Fargo. Come see the Bison 1660 crew live after every NDSU football game and register to win prizes including Bison 1660 t-shirts, tickets to upcoming games, and a whole lot more. Plus, take advantage of the great food and drink specials at Applebee's. Bison Hotline broadcasting live after every NDSU football game from Applebee's on 19th Avenue North in Fargo, right across from the Fargo Dome. Horns up.
I'm Emily. I had my LASIK surgery here at Vance Thompson Vision. Being in the healthcare field, the highest technology is huge for patients. For me, that was the leading choice and why I chose to go with Vance Thompson Vision. Life without glasses in the operating room has been incredible for me. There's no more fogging. There's no more having issues with my glasses sliding down on my face. It's been great for me.
Call 877-522-EYES to schedule a free consultation.
We're with Chris Hoffman from Bonanza Agronomy. Chris, today's farmer does more than just grow crops.
Farmers also have to make payroll. Farmers also have to market crop. Farmers also have to run equipment. And, oh yeah, they have families too. The farmer has to wear many hats. So if he can take part of his operation and relinquish some control, remove the emotion from it, partner with an expert like Bonanza Agronomy, and let's put a plan together with somebody that's already been through this.
Find them on Facebook and bonanzaag.com.
How is it that NODAC insurance agents have all the answers? Well, when you focus more, you can know more. We don't have to worry about what's happening outside the Midwest, which makes it easier to respond to hailstorms in Carrington, fender benders in Fargo, or crop damage in Cavalier. You see, our agents are right here, which means the answers that give you peace of mind are right in front of you. NODAC Insurance. Agents with answers. Visit us at nodacins.com.
Truck Headquarters. Gateway Chevrolet has new Chevy trucks arriving daily. Buy your new Chevy Silverado at Invoice. Yes, Invoice pricing on new Silverados with a fresh look, new interiors, and larger screens with easy-to-use technology. Save thousands on new Chevy Silverados with 4 different motors available. Dynamic fuel management, Bluetooth, backup camera, Apple CarPlay, and more. Save thousands and enjoy the smooth ride in your new Chevy Silverado from Gateway Chevrolet. Find new roads. Details gatewayfargo.com.
KQWB, West Fargo, Fargo-Moorhead, and KPFX, HD3 Kindred, Bison 1660. Powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
We are Fox Sports. And here's what you need to know.
Panthers interim head coach Steve Wilkes tabbing P.J. Walker as the starting quarterback for Sunday's game against the Rams. Wilkes said that Baker Mayfield, who's doubtful in that game with an ankle issue, may be active as the emergency backup. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel says quarterback Tua Tagovailoa and Teddy Bridgewater remain in concussion protocol. McDaniel says that if Bridgewater becomes available by tomorrow, that he would play second string to starter Skylar Thompson this upcoming week. ESPN notes the Lakers will use Russell Westbrook off the bench in the team's final preseason game tonight. The team is intent on seeing if Westbrook can evolve and morph into the leader of the reserves. 3 Major League Baseball playoff games today, including Game 3 NLDS between the Braves and the Phillies, and Atlanta naming Spencer Strider as starting pitcher for today's game. I'm Brian Fenley.
You've got the insiders.
How you play today, from this moment on, is how you will be remembered.
That's what living is. That's right. The 6 inches in front of your face.
Bringing you what you need to know and a whole lot more. Topics you care about, guests you know, and the conversations you came to hear. The Insiders are presented by Proseed. Need seed? Think Proseed.
This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Now, here are the Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders.
Insiders.
Rob Hipp and Andy Rickoff.
Let's go.
Let's ride.
Welcome in a Football Friday Dakota Marker edition of the Insiders. We are fired up. I am fired up. I had an energy drink this morning. People are bummed out because it was snowing. You can play some Winter Wonderland music if you'd like. It's on the way. We know that. Rob Hipp got a taste of snow in October. Probably never had that before in his life.
Never had snow in October when it's 38 degrees. Never seen that.
Technically not below freezing, but there is snow that is falling in the area. There's a little dusting of it. People were down about it, so I had an energy drink. We listened to some Bison highlights. We pumped things up, and I am ready to go. Welcome on in. It's a Friday. It's the day before the marker game. It's the Insiders with you, Football Friday edition, and we are loaded on the show. We're going to give you everything you need to get ready for this game. NDSU, SDSU, 1, 2, Valley on the line, number 1 seed on the line, first round bye possibly on the line, all of that, home through the playoffs, it's all on the line in this one. It's as big as it gets, and we are going to get you fired up about it because last night I did some digging, and I got fired up about it. More than I already was. Micah's all negative. Me and Rob are positive. Mike is picking against Carson Wentz last night.
Nervous, not negative.
He doesn't realize Carson Wentz is the king of Thursday Night Football, so he bets against Wentz, picking the Bears to win the game. Also said that Carson was going to throw multiple picks. Didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
Instead, it was the Bears that threw or turned the ball over a couple of times. Commanders get the win. So Carson gets a win. That's a good omen for this weekend, I think. So that's a good start, and I am just fired up for a Friday, Rob. I'm fired up.
Everything literally on the state line.
Yes.
North Dakota, South Dakota. Doesn't get any bigger than this. One of the most storied rivalries in all of college football, and I'm getting my first taste of it and cannot wait until tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be great. That game, again, 2:30 kickoff. Our coverage starts at 8:30 in the morning. Bison Report show. We get going on Bison Game Day, myself and James Hendricks. If you want to hear from someone that knows a lot about this rivalry, James Hendricks does. We'll be starting a couple hours before kickoff at that would be 11:30 in the morning, or really midday at that point, 11:30. You got network pregame at 1:30 with Rob, Phil, Cole on the Pioneer Seeds Bison Radio Network. So we are all ready and loaded for tomorrow, but we still got today to get through. And again, like I said, we are loaded on the show. How about 11:15? Just get Cole Jirik on. You want someone to fire you up for the game, get you believing, get you ready for this one? Cole Jirik will get you ready for this game. Obviously, the sideline reporter for the Bison on the Football Network. He'll give us his thoughts on this matchup, his thoughts on this rivalry, the Dakota Marker game itself, having been someone that played in many of these games. He comes on at 11:15. How about noon today? Just talk college football. It's a Football Friday. Aaron Torres, Fox Sports Radio, the Aaron Torres media feed. A guy that helps run the FCS Fever podcast, which I was on earlier this week, actually just yesterday, with Chris Sylvester of Cal Poly, and going through this game as well and going through the Valley. We'll have Aaron Torres on at noon. He'll give us some insight into all of college football, a little bit of college basketball as well, as we're getting into that season just a bit. So those are two great guests. And that's what I thought the show was going to be.
Nope.
That's what I thought. Yesterday, it sounds like a solid show. Couple of guests, give you some stats on the game, pump you up for the game. It's going to be fun. And then this morning, roughly 4.5 hours ago at this point, a phenomenal story comes out from one Ryan McGee of ESPN, senior writer. You might know him from the show Marty and McGee as well with ESPN that they do a great job with. And the story simply is titled Bison Jackrabbits a 75-pound stone and the best college football rivalry you don't know about. This is the Dakota Marker game. And it was great. It's a phenomenal article. If you haven't already read it, I encourage you to go find it. Ryan McGee of ESPN, at ESPN McGee on Twitter. And it's just a great article. It goes on about the history of this one, really dives into the actual history of the rivalry, the actual markers. Ryan visited the markers across the border, too, something I haven't even done. And I've been around here, obviously, for a number of years at this point. So he's visited that stuff. He really dives into the history of the rivalry, some of the coaches on both sides. We know about Tyler Roll having played in this game, having been someone that played for NDSU, has now coached in this game as well. Same thing on the SDSU side. Zach Lujan has played in these games, their defensive coordinator as well. Jimmy Rogers has played in this game and never lost this game as a player or a coach. So there's a lot of history on both sides, and Ryan McGee did a great job covering it in this story. So I'm like, it'd be great to have Ryan on. I don't know, it's probably not going to happen. It's this morning. It's a couple of hours ago, and reached out to some other people. He doesn't have his DMs open in Twitter or any way to email him, so reach out to some other people. Say, hey, if he wants, could you just get a hold of him and see if he's willing to come on the show? You can pass my number along to him, all that kind of stuff. About 15 minutes before the show, I get a message back from one of those people we reached out to. Says, here's his number, call him. Called him up. He said, yep, 11:30, count me in. 11:30, we'll have Ryan McGee on, senior writer for ESPN, and he's going to be phenomenal because that story was extremely well done. He went to practices at SDSU. He talked with both head coaches, assistant coaches, other players. It was extremely well done. Very much looking forward to having Ryan McGee on at 11:30 today.
Can I just say real quick, the stars are aligning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything. I even got up, and also I can't wait to talk to Ryan. I even got up a while ago, picked up a mechanical pencil, Andy. It was blue. I said, nope, not today. Threw it back in the drawer, made sure that I picked up the green one.
There you go. And it was the last green one left.
It was the last green one. So I'm telling you, literally, the stars are aligning.
I typically use highlighter to highlight like little notes and things and nuggets. Typically go with a gold one, like a bright blue, just stands out more to my eye. I said, nope, not this week. Threw the blue one to the side of the room, grabbed a green one. That's what we're doing today. It's almost like, Michigan and Ohio State, the O's get crossed out or the M's get crossed out. For us, it's a blue. No blue. A blue out, basically.
Micah was talking earlier, and he said, it's what my heart feels. And I said, Micah, what you put into your brain is what ultimately transcends out of your heart. So you got to just start thinking and believing the right ways, Micah, and then that will pour out of your heart, my friend.
My mind and heart are completely nervous right now, and it's just going to keep building and building until kickoff at 2:30. Are you
shaking? Are you jittery?
Not right now, even though I do have coffee.
And I get it. For some people, I've heard that throughout the week. And I get it. Nervous about this game. Maybe NDSU hasn't played their best football. Run defense has been a little bit shaky. How are they going to find a way to stop this run offense of SDSU and slow down this offensive juggernaut with the Jackrabbits? And you've got Isaiah Davis, who's a great running back, coming in. How in the world are you going to try and slow him down? I did some digging yesterday, and I feel more confident after that. The NDSU is maybe playing better than we think. And made me feel even better about this game. And for any fans out there that just aren't quite to the point of being like, yep, we got this one. We can win it. We're going to go out there and make a huge difference in this game, and we're going to, once again, get that marker back. I got some stats that might persuade you a different way. So we'll go through that stuff a little bit later on in the show as well. Want you guys to be a part of it. Give us your thoughts on this game. If you want to be pumped up, call on in. We'll try and pump you up as well. And you can call us at 701-476-1660. You can also email us, studio@bison1660.com. That's the Rick Electric email inbox, the phone line, Epic Companies hotline. You can text us there as well. Want you to be a part of the show. It's a Football Friday, and we are loaded. Let's go to the hotline right now. Jim giving us a call, and he's got some keys to the game as well. Jim, you're on here with the Insiders.
Good morning, guys. This is James Hove. I met you guys at Dickies the other day.
Yes.
Rob, what do you think the keys in the game? I'm a little nervous about it. I'm fired up about it, though, and hope Lukey and Cole Payton and Cam Miller show up what we got.
Yeah, I think they will. Hey, we appreciate you. I'm going to give you my key, and then I'm going to let Andy give you his key. I think you got to get off to a fast start. Number one, you go back a year ago. I've mentioned it this week. You go back to that game a year ago. South Dakota State got off to a fast start, and it was hard to get back in that ball game. So that's my number one key. You got to get off to a fast start. I think that's going to happen this Saturday. Andy?
Yeah, I appreciate the call too, Jim. For me, it's the lines of scrimmage. I mentioned it yesterday. That's where this game's going to be won. Third best rushing offense, third best rushing defense. Who's going to win the battle of the line of scrimmage? It's not who wins it on the first play. It's not who wins it in the first quarter or the second quarter, first half. It's about who wins it consistently throughout the game. Who can prolong drives and get 5-6 yards on a couple carries in a row and impose their will a little bit, win that time of possession battle, and get the other team maybe just a little bit tired towards the end of this game. I think the battle in the trenches is huge, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why I think that might favor NDSU a little bit as well, just a little bit later on in the show. Thanks for the call today, Jim.
I got another question.
Okay.
Do you think the injuries are hurting the Bison defense, or are we doing okay with that?
I think the injuries at one specific position are starting to pile up a little bit. On the defensive line, when you lose Eli Mostart, now you lose Jake Cava as well to that, I believe it was a pec injury for Jake, so you have them out. You're already you lost the people from graduation a year ago. Don't have Dylan Hendricks back. I only think he played like 10 snaps last week. Maybe he plays a little bit more, but you haven't really completely worked him in quite yet. So on the defensive line, I do think that's hampered them a little bit, relying on some younger players, but also those younger players Right now it's October. By the time you get to mid-November, by the time you get to playoffs, those guys are going to be seasoned and have more experience, which will be a good thing.
Yeah, and we talked about the learning moments. At what point do you got to quit learning and just say, okay, this is the teachable moment's over with, start performing? Last week, a lot better on the tackling, so I think that's an area that's improved, and it was a good, it was tough against Indiana State, but you did learn from that. The tackling improved, and you brought up a great point, Andy. It's a lot of young guys in there that are having to rise up very quickly, much more than they anticipated. So Kaiser had a solid game. I'm looking forward to more of the same on Saturday.
Thanks for the call there, Jim. Again, call us up, 701-476-1660, the number to dial. You can also email us at the Rick Electric email inbox, studio@bison1660.com. This hour of The Insiders on a Friday, as always, brought to you by the great team at Rick Electric. And Rick Electric has been serving the Fargo-Moorhead area for over 56 years. They are the pros in the FM area. If you need electrical work done, whether it be commercial or residential, don't do it yourself. It's difficult to do, also expensive to fix, and kind of dangerous. So trust the pros at Rick Electric. You can call them at 218-233-6194, or you can visit them online at rickelectric.com. Let's take a break. Our first break. We'll come back, get the voice of someone that's played in this game, get his thoughts on it. How about Cole Jirik joins us when we come back here on a Football Friday on The Insiders.
Champions play here.
This man was a bona fide scrub. He can't play. No disrespect whatsoever, but I'm sorry to tell everybody the truth. He has small hands. He can't catch the ball.
You're home for the Thundering Herd. Bison 1660.
We take great pride in really doing all the research and the work behind the scenes to make sure that our products just work.
We have our own staff member that helps pick the hybrids and the varieties that work in our area. It's meant for you, not for somebody 200 miles away.
We test our seed locally. We produce our seed locally, so we get to see our production fields, where they need to be, and if they work there.
Need seed? Think ProSeed. ProSeed.net. Great seed at a reasonable price.
When you're making decisions about your ag operation finances, you need access to the experts. This is Scott Solandic with Cornerstone Bank. Whether you're just starting your operation or looking to grow, we're here to talk you through those financial decisions. We're the kind of people who get to know you and genuinely appreciate your needs. If you're looking for a bank that's been specializing in ag banking for generations, come see us at Cornerstone Bank.
Cornerstone Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Take a chance and call your shot. Every Friday, we give you a chance to win a free night stay at Homewood Suites in Fargo. Go to our Bison 1660 Facebook page each Friday and look for the Call Your Shot graphic. Whoever comments on that post prior to kickoff with the closest prediction of the final score wins a free night stay at Homewood Suites in Fargo with free Wi-Fi, an indoor pool, and connecting rooms. Homewood Suites is your hotel for Fargo family fun within walking distance of the Fargo Dome. Take a chance and call your shot.
For 45 plus years, we are still growing and still strong. Northern Plains Steel continues to break production records with each happy customer we serve. Come work for us. We offer employees praise and recognition for a job well done and highly competitive pay and benefits. We have shifts to fit your lifestyle needs so you can balance work life with your home life. We have first and second shift positions available. Press brake operators, CNC machinists, and production workers. Apply at jobs.owenmetallsgroup.com. That's jobs.owenmetallsgroup.com.
Protect your vision with the latest contact lens technology from Eyes on Broadway and Rexine Family Eye Care. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Rexine, your downtown eye doc. Contact lens-related eye infections can lead to permanent vision loss, but are preventable with proper hygiene and replacement schedule.
Set up an appointment with Dr. Michael Rexine or myself, Dr. Vanessa Manlove, at michaelrexine.com, with locations in both Fargo and Mayville.
I promise you will see the difference.
Your brilliant proposal starts with Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry, your source for mined and certified lab-grown diamonds. Looking to create a custom engagement ring? Our team of jewelry experts will help you create that perfect ring, mesmerizing her, creating an heirloom to be cherished for a lifetime. Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry, 3241 42nd Street South, Fargo. Online at schmittsjewelry.com.
If you need any professional advice, they may not be your guys.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But if you need information on NDSU, then they got you covered. It's The Insiders on Bison 1660.
You know what? We appreciate our fans. We really do. And I really appreciate Jim giving us a call. One, because we met him at Sicky's. Good guy, good fan. And two, because he led me right into a live read, and I missed it. He asked us what are the keys to the game, and we gave him the keys to the game. You said start fast. I said trench play. Got to be good on the lines of scrimmage. And just so happens today we want to bring you our keys to the game, brought to you by Consolidated Communications. Consolidated Communications as the only data center in the area that is SOC 2 certified with tested, reliable systems in place to protect your valuable data for scalable, cost-effective data center solutions for your changing business needs. Go to consolidated.com/data center. And today's show brought to you in part by The Spirit Shop. You need to stock up on all your favorites for watching football? The Spirit Shop has you covered with a huge selection of beer, wine, or spirits at the best prices and great weekly specials. The Spirit Shop off 13th behind Shields Home and Hardware. Let's get right into it. It's going to be a fast-moving, fast-paced show. It's a Football Friday Dakota Marker edition for you. And let's jump right over to the phone lines for someone that has played in this game and knows all about also the trench play, the line of scrimmage in this game between NDSU and SDSU, as the sideline reporter on the Pioneer Seeds Bison Radio Network, one Cole Jirik, nice enough to give us some time. Sir, how you doing 24 hours or so from the game?
I'm doing great. Super excited for this one. The old Bison chalkboard, the some old players, the chat's getting pretty lively this week, so you definitely know it's Bunny Week. Probably not as lively as the UND week with it being maybe an older group on that chat group, but overall it's been a fun week preparing, a lot of talking about football, and anytime you got a game like this coming to the Fargo Dome, it's always a great week.
I can only imagine what that chalkboard is saying all week long. Appreciate you giving us a little bit of time. When you think about this rivalry, what goes through your mind?
I think with this game is just, it's an interesting one. It's really changed since it started, back when the Rock became a thing, and NDSU I think was very dominant early on with the rivalry. I think that's like a 10-8 lead or something like that, and it was one of those things where NDSU was, once we got to the Division I, the SDSU got Division I. Things changed a little bit, and NDSU had success really early on where SDSU kind of trailed behind, and I think this game meant a lot more to SDSU early on in this rivalry, where it's like, hey, we want to go knock off the giant of SDS. We want to go see if we can test ourselves and be the best. And I think it was SDSU's Super Bowl for a long time. But anytime you play a team, that has become a rivalry, that you put a trophy in place for, the game gets a little bit more meaning to it. It gets a little bit more excitement to it, a little bit more hype. But because early on, I think the big rival for NDSU in the FCS transition was Northern Iowa. They were the big dogs of the conference. They were the big dogs of FCS. And as NDSU has grown, as SDSU has gotten better, as we set the standard of play at FCS at a higher level, and they kind of caught up to that, this game has got bigger and bigger every year. And I would say the last 5 to 10 years, it's been some really, really fun competitive games. And there's definitely always a little bit of trash talk involved as well.
Cole, so much on the line. And, I mean, it seems it's that way every year, but this year maybe even more so. You're talking about Missouri Valley Football Conference implications and getting home field advantage. You talk about two teams that statistically match up 1 and 2 in so many areas. Do you feel that there's a lot more pressure on this ball game than what maybe you've seen in recent years?
Yes and no in that situation. I think there's a lot of hype being surrounded around this football game. A lot of people saying it's the biggest game in a while, one of the bigger games in the Fargo Dome, but you go into Saturday, you lose that game, your season's not over. It's one football game in the course of the season. Obviously, NDSU is probably going to win enough games to be playoff eligible this year. If they happen to drop a game versus SDSU this weekend, you don't want to do that. But at the same time, you can't walk into this game and say, man, this is everything. This is the biggest game of the season, and put that extra pressure on yourself, because it is one game. Yeah, it's a huge game to accomplish your first goal of the year, which is always win the Missouri Valley Conference. You win this one, you're in the absolute driver's seat to go do that. And if you win this one, you're probably in the driver's seat of a 1 or a 2 seed, where you're probably playing all your playoff games at home. But at the same time, you can't think, hey, this is live or die type situation. This isn't a playoff game. You just got to go out and play your game, do your thing. Yeah, obviously you want to win it, but you can't put too much extra pressure on just a regular season football game like this.
And Cole Jirik here with us, and I got a point to make with you, and I want to see if you agree with it. One thing we've mentioned a lot in this rivalry is SDSU is kind of used to the Dome, and that's typically the case, and I get it. They have a lot of senior players who have been here, or they've experienced really loud environments at other places. I'm starting to think that might not be the case as much as everyone's kind of hyping it up to be. Mark Gronowski, when he was in the Fargo Dome, that was spring 2021. That was 8,000 fans. That wasn't even half capacity. It wasn't even half of what's going to be there on this tomorrow when that Fargo Dome starts filling up. They got a first-time starting center, Gus Miller. Let's focus some attention on him. First-time starting center this year, first year as a starter. That's a key piece in the cog for each and every snap. Make it loud so he can't hear it. A lot of their receivers and skill players on offense, only time they've been in the Dome, 2021 spring. They didn't experience what this Dome really is like. I think that can play a little bit of a factor. Do you?
I think you're right for sure. I think everybody, practices with the noise. You have the speakers at practice. You think you're prepared for it, but until you're really in that environment, until you're with the live bullets with that type of crowd noise, you never know how your team's going to react. I guarantee this fan base is going to cost multiple false starts against SDSU this weekend. They're going to have some communication issues. They're not going to be able to talk things through the way they want to. It is a huge advantage. This Fargo Dome is going to be rocking. This is probably going to be the best Fargo Dome atmosphere we've had maybe in the last 3 to 5 years. It's really going to be something special, I think, by the sounds of it. With a sellout coming there, I think the fans are juiced up. I think this is kind of maybe what the fan base needs to re-energize a little bit after that whole COVID lull and not being able to sell out the Fargo Dome in certain instances. I think this is definitely getting the Fargo Dome back to Fargo Dome loud. I don't know if we'll get to maybe Georgia Southern loud or UNI loud from back in the day, but I think we'll definitely be close to that type of atmosphere here on Saturday.
There's been a lot of talk around Tucker Kraft. Will he be back? Will he not be back? We heard from two that no, he's probably not going to play. Then we heard from Coach Stiegelmeier yesterday saying, yeah, he is probably going to be out there and play. But, when you're coming off of injuries and you haven't played in a game, do you think he's going to have that much of an impact?
I think so. I think there's definitely plays. If he plays, it's probably a snap count situation where, hey, it's a red zone situation. We want to get him one-on-one where he can go up and get a ball or go make a play. I think if he does play in this game, you maybe don't see him on every offensive snap. You maybe don't see him as much in the blocking game. You do different things, but I think overall you definitely want to prepare for a guy like that. I think he can have an impact, even if it's a small level, but overall, Tucker Kraft is maybe one of the best players in FCS, and I know he's got definitely a chance at the NFL, and that's probably weighing in his decision. Do I want to play against NDSU? Yeah, it's a big game, but do I also want to have an NFL career? And we'll see, I guess, what that decision maybe comes for on Saturday, because obviously we saw with Indorf ankle injuries can be tough, and maybe he re-aggravated something that cost him an NFL trip. So maybe it's in the back of his mind. Maybe, hey, I'm not going to play anymore this year. I'm just going to start preparing for that next level.
There's obviously some gamesmanship that goes into this too, right? I think it was last time they played. Isaiah Davis was he going to play? Was he not going to play? He was there warming up, and then he didn't play, right? I mean, all that kind of gamesmanship goes on into this matchup between these two schools. Another thing that goes on basically every time these two teams play is some good offensive play. And NDSU, I think we've talked about their offense. These fans have they're not moving the ball, they're not throwing it enough. We're just not being crisp on offense. I think there's one thing that's causing them not to be crisp, and that's turnovers. The last 3 weeks, 2 of those games, they've turned it over 3 times in each of those games. But you look at the numbers last week, Cole, over 200 passing yards. They threw it 27 times as well. That's not many games NDSU is going to throw it 27 times and to get over 200 yards and over 75% completion. They ran it for over 300 yards. They had Tamarick Williams going, Hunter Lipke going. I think there's been some really good stuff from this offense the last couple of weeks. It's just been masked under the ugly mask of turnovers.
Oh, for sure. I think if you look at the games that NDSU maybe has struggled in, or obviously look at the Arizona game, the turnover in the red zone was huge. It's been turnovers. Turnovers against South Dakota kept that game close. Turnovers against Indiana State kept that game close. If NDSU doesn't turn the ball over in those 3 games, and obviously that's a big ask. I mean, they beat Arizona in that case. They'd probably blow out South Dakota and Indiana State by even larger amounts. And turnovers affect games at such a huge level, and NDSU's dropped some defensively. There's been interceptions that have been dropped, and that's where in a game like this, if you don't turn the ball over, if you take advantage of those opportunities, and if there's a ball thrown to or a ball on the ground, you make that play. Being +1 or +2 in the turnover battle this week is probably going to be the winner of that football game. And offensively, yeah, we're moving the ball, we're doing things, we're putting up points, but we're shooting ourselves in the foot at times, or one guy's making a mistake, or the wrong read, or the wrong route, or dropping a ball. It's been a lot of small mistakes mixed with turnovers that have limited this offense. But at the same time, you look at the numbers, the offense has put up a lot of points and a lot of yards so far this season.
Yeah, the offense averaging almost 50 more yards per game. They rank first in the Valley, 405 yards per game. You look at South Dakota State, 350 yards total offense. But I wanted to talk a little bit about depth too, Cole. That's something that, of course, we highlight, especially at that back position. I mean, you go through and you look at South Dakota State, and there's really only 2 guys there in that backfield as far as running backs that are going to put up big numbers. Isaiah Davis, obviously everyone knows about him. who's coming into this ball game 630 or so yards on the ground this season. And then it's Amar Johnson. Outside of that, there's not a whole lot. You go to the Bison. I mean, we are stacked deep. How critical is that going to be in this ball game?
I think it makes a difference, but at the same time, I think when you have a back like Isaiah Davis, it doesn't matter as much as long as he stays healthy. A guy like that, you want to get 20 to 25 touches to a game because he's one of those guys that every time he touches the ball, it could be 6 points. He's really an elite level back. Definitely one of the top 5 probably backs in SDS football, maybe one of the top in the Valley. I do think he is really, really that good. And obviously the depth of keeping guys fresh in different formations for NDSU has worked really, really well for us. And I don't know if we'll see maybe more of just Hunter and Turmeric this weekend. We'll see if Kobe Johnson gets back healthy for NDSU. But overall, I think the depth is great to have. But I think if you could have one elite player, you're never too upset about that situation. But NDSU needs to deliver some body blows. They need to beat up on Isaiah. If they got the chance to take the shots, hit the rib cages a little bit, hit the body. Make sure you send them the message that it's going to be a long day running the football, and make sure we're the hammer, not the nail. And if you can do that and slow him down a step or two, that's where that depth comes into more of a factor.
It's always a physical football game. One thing we love about this game between NDSU and SDSU, nobody knows it better than Cole Jirik. Played in this one and now covering it as a sideline reporter on the Pioneer Seeds Bison Radio Network. Cole, appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us for a bit, and looking forward to hearing you tomorrow down there on the sidelines of the Dome.
Appreciate it, Andy and Rob. Thanks, guys.
There we go. Cole Jirik with his thoughts on this one between the Bison and the Jacks. By the way, Bison Hotline postgame show tomorrow after the game. Go just north of the Dome. Just walk a few feet. You're not going to be able to get out of the Dome. It's going to be traffic up the wazoo. Just walk over to Applebee's just north of the Dome. That's where we're going to have Bison Hotline, myself, Chris Hansen, and James Hendricks for you, breaking down the result of this Dakota Marker game. Applebee's the spot for that one for every single Bison Hotline after the Bison games this year, and have really enjoyed our time there. Great food, great service, and they get you out pretty quick there, too, over at Applebee's. Plus, we got tons of great giveaways as well, including tickets to the next game NDSU will have, which will be against Illinois State in a couple of weeks when the Redbirds come to town. We'll take a break. We'll come back. But Ryan McGee, ESPN senior writer, with a great piece on this rivalry. Ryan joins us on the other side.
The most complete Bison coverage in the region. Your Bison Nation station.
You are deep in thought, which is always dangerous.
Bison 1660.
If you're looking for a towing company that has graduated to the next level, you're looking for All Pro Towing. All Pro Towing specializes in heavy-duty and light-duty recovery. All Pro Towing is there for lockouts and jump starts and tire changes. Plus, they're available 24/7 for all emergencies. So when you're looking for a real pro, you need All Pro Towing. Save their number for when you need a tow. 701-541-3900.
Homewood Suites wants you to feel at home. This upscale extended stay brand understands that being away from home can be challenging. So Homewood Suites in North Fargo has designed their amenities to make life easier for you. At Homewood, you can relax in a variety of suites with full kitchens, complimentary hot breakfast, outdoor grills, and recreational areas that make stays more familiar. When you need to be away, but you still want to feel like home, choose Homewood Suites by Hilton. Find out more and book a stay at homewoodssuites.com.
Every fan loves an explosive play on the field when someone breaks free and takes it to the house. Take that feeling anywhere with the explosive taste of Bud Light Seltzer, the official hard seltzer of the NDSU Bison. Bud Light Seltzer is always the right call for game day. The bold flavor of the hard soda variety pack and the all-new seasonal apple slices flavors will definitely score points with your team in the tailgate zone or inside the Fargo Dome. Bud Light Seltzer, the official hard seltzer of the NDSU Bison. Please drink responsibly, never drink and drive.
The Fargo-Moorhead Diversion needs your help to transform our home into a safer and more successful place to live. When you join the ASN Constructors Fargo-Moorhead Area Diversion Channel team, you will take responsibility for creating a safety net for 250,000 people right here at home. Be part of history and the highest profile project in the FM area in years. ASN Constructors need dirt movers, heavy equipment operators, laborers, and construction apprentice. You'll earn great wages and benefits, including 401k. Apply now at asnconstructors.com.
Here's your Red River Valley weather update on Bison 1660.
It's been a cool, cloudy day with temperatures remaining in the low 40s. Overnight, expect mostly cloudy skies with temps hovering around 30, and Saturday, a slight warm-up in the upper 40s.
This weather update brought to you by Minn Kota Windows. Just when your kids thought it was time to head outside, a cold snap rolls in. Ditch the coat and snuggle up with peace of mind, knowing that Minn Kota's energy-efficient vinyl will block out the brutal cold and save you money. Midwest built, Midwest tough. Guaranteed for life.
Jeep Adventure Days are going on now at Corwin Jeep, and the deals are hot. Get invoice pricing on all new 2022 Jeep Compass models. That's right, you pay what we pay when you get invoice pricing on all new Jeep Compasses. And that's not all. Get financing as low as 0% on a new Compass or Renegade. All new Jeeps come with Jeep Wave, our 36-month free service plan. What are you waiting for? Shop the huge selection of new inventory today, only at Corwin Jeep. Shop online, corwinauto.com.
From the court to the field and everywhere in between. Your home for NDSU athletics. Bison 1660.
The only place to go in the FM area for haircuts is Men's Hair Company. Haircuts, waxing, shaves, beard care, and more. Online, menshairco.com. 5 Fargo, Moorhead, and West Fargo locations to choose from. So go with the home team for your haircuts this football season. Welcome back into the Insiders. Andy Rickoff, Rob Hipp, Micah Bindi with you inside our Theraldson Ethanol Broadcast Center. The gang is all here getting you ready for NDSU and that school to the south, who we won't name by name anymore the rest of the show. I just made that up. I'm just deciding it right now. Not going to name them by their actual name. Just school to the south. We'll go with that one. Sound good?
Yeah, just like the green pencil, man.
Do that on the broadcast, too.
Yeah.
Just not going to mention it.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go over well.
Well, maybe you should mention the team a little bit. Let's go to the Epic Companies hotline right now for a first-time guest, so he gets the gong. The senior writer on ESPN and host of Marty and McGee on ESPN as well. One Ryan McGee, nice enough to give us some time on the Epic Companies hotline. Ryan, I really appreciate your time. I know this came together very late for you, late notice, so appreciate you joining us here. I know North Dakota was the last state you visited. Is this the last state you've been on radio with as well?
Yeah, that's probably a fair assumption. Yeah, it's a great question. I was trying to think. Now, I've not ever been on radio at that you just called it the state to the south.
Yep.
I think I'm supposed to call it. But yeah, it was my 50th state, which is a really big deal. I actually was supposed to be up there back in 2019, and then that trip got pushed to 2020, and then, of course, everything in 2020 got canceled. And so yeah, I finally got to my 50th state, and the trip was everything I could have hoped for.
Well, happy to hear that. You just saved the best for last. That's the way we're going to phrase it.
That's it. No, that's an absolute fact. But it was, but it is. I mean, listen, Fargo is an iconic name. I mean, it is. And not only talking about the TV show. It's just we've always heard about it. And I grew up in the Carolinas, and you want to go. And as a college football fan, the Fargo Dome has always been on the bucket list. And so I've not been to a game there, but I got to walk around in it when it was empty. And to me, sometimes that's even better because you kind of feel the energy of the place. And so it's, it was a great trip.
Love to get you up here for a game sometime and experience a tailgate lot in a fully packed dome then.
Yeah, no, it's I can't imagine the noise because I did go. I was in the Fargo on Monday. I was in Brookings on Tuesday. And I think I posted a clip on my Twitter account earlier. It was the first time I had been allowed to be out of practice while a team was getting ready for the noise. And so South Dakota State was testing the limits of the sound system in their practice facility. And luckily for me, I covered NASCAR for a real long time, so I can't hear anyway, so it didn't really bother me.
There you go. Well, having you on today because there was an amazing article that you dropped on ESPN.com, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, and the tale of the Dakota marker. Phenomenal job on the article, first off. Just what'd you learn overall about the rivalry between these two, really not just schools, but these two states, and what made you want to cover this rivalry that, as you said on Twitter, not many people even know about?
Yeah, I just love college football. And what the best part about college football is the passion. And, I was asked earlier this week about, I'm literally, as I'm talking to you guys, I'm looking at Neyland Stadium where Alabama and Tennessee will play tomorrow. There'll be, almost 100,000 people here. And I was asked, what's the difference between, or what are the similarities between going to LSU or going to Michigan or whatever and going to, this game, the Dakota marker. And I was like, there's not much different because to me, what the beauty of it is the passion is, in the fan bases, I don't have to tell you guys, there's a lot of passion there. There's a lot of heat there. There was a lot of heat between the coaches just when I talked to them this week about this game. And so I grew up on small college campuses. my dad his day job was a college administrator. He worked at Furman, which was an FCS football power for a long time. I worked at Wingate University, Division II school, Gardner-Webb. These are the campuses I grew up on. So I've always had a soft spot for what I still call, 1AA football. And I love regional rivalries. And there's no more regional rivalry than the Dakota Market game.
Hey, Ryan, good to have you on. Rob Hipp here, voice of the Bison. You talked a little bit about this, but, I mean, what kind of nugget got into your head? What really sparked you to write this article?
Well, I am a junkie for rivalry trophies, right? Floyd of Rosedale and the Jewel Shillelagh, and when I was a student at Tennessee, we used to play for the beer barrel against Kentucky every year. I love the stories behind all those. And I know the Dakota Marker is less than 20 years old. There's no cooler trophy than that thing. It's unbelievable. I freaked out when I walked into I said, can I see it? When I was down at South Dakota State on Tuesday, and they took me in the locker room, and there it was. And it's just, I love the history behind it, and I love the story behind it, and I love the story behind the actual Dakota Markers. And so, yeah, to me, again, is there any greater representation of those two great states and that great region and the history behind them than the story of the actual Dakota Markers from 1891 and 92, and the fact that those guys play for that replica version of the marker and them hoofing that 75-pound trophy over their heads. Does it get any more college football than that? The answer is no.
I'm right there with you, and I can tell you one thing. A lot of fans up here, the only thing they might hate more than SDSU is the fact that you had to go to SDSU to see that trophy. But the next thing they would tell you is then go to their trophy case and see what you see there.
Oh yeah, no. Well, I tell you this. I think I put this on social media today. I said, I'm a history guy. That's why I love the story of the Dakota Marker. But they designed Washington D.C. very purposely to intimidate visiting heads of state. And I don't have to tell you guys. You walk into the lobby of that football office at the Bison, there at the Fargo Dome. That thing is designed to intimidate people. I've never seen trophy. Listen, I'm in Alabama all the time. They don't do as good a job of displaying those national championship trophies as North Dakota State does. I walked in there, I just started laughing like, man, if you're a recruit, you walk in there, if all you want to do is win championships, it feels like a pretty good place to be.
The shelf broke a couple years ago, Ryan. They had to reinforce it.
Well, we got to reinforce it. No, it's that's certainly not the last national championship trophies they're going to be putting up there.
That's the hope at the very least. And again, Ryan McGee with us, senior writer for ESPN. Nice enough to give us some time. Want to go through just a couple of questions on the article because, again, it was extremely well written. One thing that I think is also interesting about this rivalry, at the FBS level, you don't always get former players on coaching staffs, or at least as high-profile spots on a coaching staff as what both of these schools have. Grant Olson, linebackers coach, obviously played at NDSU, played in this rivalry, knows what it means now as a player and as a coach. Offensive coordinator Tyler Roll played in the first ever Marker game in 2004. Goes back all the way as a player, lost some games in heartbreaking fashion, has won some games and lost some games as a coach here, assistant coach, and now as an offensive coordinator. And then you go on the SDSU side. Jimmy Rogers has played in this one, now coached in it as a defensive coordinator. Roll and Rogers will be going head-to-head. Zach Lujan, their now offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, threw for a bunch of touchdowns. So I love the history of the programs that's on the coaching staffs. I think that's really unique, and you did a good job kind of laying that one out in the article.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, and what other game is there where the offensive coordinator at one school and the defensive coordinator at another school were the two guys involved in one of the most pivotal plays in the early day of the rivalry? And when I talked to Rogers and I talked to Tyler, both of them got so lathered up and Tyler in particular was trying to hold his composure, and you could tell that it was just, they both got those veins sticking out of their heads. And if you gave them shoulder pads right now, I don't have to tell you guys, they'd both be playing tomorrow. And so, again, it's the passion of it, and it also tells you the love for their school. And they talk more. When I asked all those former players are talking, I talked to all those guys about, what was your what's the moment to you that sums up this rivalry? And they always talked about the games they lost because they hurt and because that's what motivates them, because they want to make sure those kids that are playing for them now, don't have to experience that kind of pain. And again, we're talking about emotion and pain and tears in the eyes and, veins sticking out of your forehead. That's that passion that I'm talking about, and that's why I was so excited to get up there and in first person get to experience a little bit of that leading into the game.
And that's what's so cool about it as well as NDSU players, not just this game, but overall you talk to former players. There's some players in 4 or 5 years that only lost 3 or 4 times in 5 years when they were playing at NDSU, and first thing they bring up a lot of times after the national championships is the losses they had, and those stick out in their minds more than the actual wins because there was few of them at the very least. And then one thing I also wanted to bring up to you was how you laid out the history of the two states too. And I think this is something maybe not a lot of our fans even know a ton about. You did a good job laying it out in the story again. The Dakota Territory was incorporated in that Louisiana Purchase back in the 1800s. And then the two states they had so much animosity and hatred for them before they were even states that at the time President Benjamin Harrison signed the papers that made North and South Dakota separate states. He had to be warned that the two sides wanted to be named a state first, and he had to shuffle the papers almost like an NBA draft lottery style, so he didn't get accused of favoritism between the two states. That was great insight from you.
He didn't want to deal with these crazy people from the Dakotas. He didn't want to. I do, right? I deal with that as a sports writer, right? Sometimes you got to hit it down the middle because I don't want a bunch of Alabama fans down on the front porch of my house. I don't want Ohio State fans yelling at me at the airport, which, by the way, has happened. And so, you got to try to hit it down the middle, President Harrison. But, to me, it sums up. And listen, I'm from a north-south place. I grew up in North Carolina and lived in South Carolina for a long time. We don't have a story like this. They just were like, you know what, we're just going to sign the papers and have 2 different states, and that's fine. And in the Dakotas, I swear I think there's still people that are mad about it.
I was going to ask you about that from the North and South Carolina aspect because I knew you grew up in that area. Your guys' border isn't, it's not a straight line. It takes some curves and bends and stuff, and I'm sure there's a reason for that. North and South Dakota, it's like, here's a straight line. We're going right down this area that separate the two, basically. You go to your corner, you go to your corner.
Yeah, and we're going to cut your farm in half.
Yeah.
We're going to make you decide, are you with North Dakota or South Dakota? And so, it's and I love that. And what I couldn't get into, and my editors are like, every story you write, McGee, can't just be a history dissertation. But there's a whole other story there, about that you guys probably learned in history class about, the fact that there was this huge debate and still is in a lot of ways of who was the actual first state, and what papers were signed first, and who's this state, and who's that state, and that's just again. It's why college football is the greatest sport in the world. You cannot make it up. And the stuff that is real sounds made up. And that's why, I can't believe they pay me to go cover college football games.
Ryan, I love the part of your article, too, just to talk about the good people of North Dakota. And you were talking about the drive up here and trying to find that initial marker. Talk about some of those conversations. She said, I can't believe you made it down here in this car.
Yeah, it was. I had a rental car, and I had a whole plan. I was going to go up on Tuesday morning before I went down to Brookings, but the bed and breakfast I was supposed to stay, she told me I couldn't stay there anymore. I lost my room. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to go find this marker before sundown. So I was literally racing the sun, and I turned off the paved road, and that poor rental car, I'm totally going to lose my deposit. Because, I was bouncing on dirt roads, and one guy on the combine goes, dude, where the hell are you going? Because they could see the dust trail that I was laying down, from a mile away. And so I finally got out there, and the old lady at the farmhouse was like, are you looking for the marker? I'm like, yeah. She's like, did you find it? I'm like, yeah. She's like, look out for snakes. And sure enough, I got to that initial marker that's there, at the tri-corner of Minnesota in the Dakotas, and or just a few clicks away from it, and there was a snake wrapped around the bottom of that funny thing. So all the pictures you'll notice I took were from a safe distance.
Smart man. Very smart man on that one. And I like what you mentioned, too. When they were doing the initial markers and putting them across the entire state border, they were doing it a bad time because there was a 30-foot snow drift and it was all this stuff that you shouldn't be doing this in the winter up here. You shouldn't be.
Nah, well, so again, part of the story was that poor Mr. Bates got the contract in the spring, and typical government, it's good to know that it was like this back in the day, just like it is now. Congress wouldn't do anything, and he couldn't get his information, and so he had to just sit there and wait. And then finally, when they gave him the green light and gave him his instructions, it was fall. He's like, well, I got to get going. But it's like the pyramids, right? You look at the pyramids, and you're like, how did they do this? You see some Indian ruins on the side of a mountain. You're like, how did they do this? And they just did it. And these 9 guys, hauled 720, 800-pound quartzite markers across those plains, and I have no idea how they did it. But they did it, and I'm glad it did because, God rest their souls, they have no idea we now have the coolest trophy in football because of it.
Again, those who haven't already seen the story on Twitter or some other site, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, and the tale of the Dakota marker game. Ryan McGee, nice enough to join us, senior writer for ESPN. Again, at ESPN McGee on Twitter. Highly encourage you guys to go check this out. His quotes from Carson Wentz, Tyler Roll, coaches for SDSU as well, a whole bunch of different places or a whole bunch of different names you can read in this article that was really good insight. I know you're down there for Alabama-Tennessee. Want to give us a quick preview of that top 6 matchup?
Well, I'm going to give you 2 takes.
Okay.
The first take is my sports writer take, which is, obviously Bryce Young's availability and health is going to be the key to the game, just like it was for Alabama a week ago. Alabama's 3 deep at every position, like you guys know, and they've been in some dogfights this year, as you guys know, so they're kind of battle-hardened. All right, now I'm going to take my sports writer hat off and put my Tennessee alumni hat on and say, man, I really want to beat these guys. When I was in school, we were in the middle of an 8-year losing streak to Alabama, and this is one of the great rivalries in college football, and it hurts my college football heart when people say the third Saturday in October doesn't matter anymore because, Tennessee hasn't beaten Alabama in almost 20 years. But, it feels real, and there's a buzz on the campus and a buzz in the football office that feels genuine as opposed to some years when I felt like they were manufacturing it. So it's the energy level in this stadium is going to be something else. And I will be in the press box at Neyland Stadium, and I will be watching the Dakota Marker game on the ESPN app on my phone, and that's a pretty good Saturday right there.
Sounds like a great Saturday to me, and I appreciate your time, Ryan. Again, Ryan McGee. You can find him, Marty and McGee, on ESPN, also senior writer for ESPN, covering a whole bunch of college football, and apparently just a history buff, too, which we also love on this show. Ryan, appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us for a little bit on short notice, too. Appreciate you making some time for us, and we will have to get you up here for a game inside the Dome at some point.
Well, thanks for having me, and it means a lot, too, the kind words that you said, because what I always want to do when I go into places that I don't know that well is I want to do it justice. And the kind words you say made me feel a little bit better. So you made my day. I appreciate it.
No, appreciate you. You definitely did a great job incorporating this rivalry and giving us a little insight into it. Even I didn't know about, so you educated me a little bit, which was awesome. Ryan, appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate it, boys. Thanks.
There he goes, Ryan McGee of ESPN. Great to have him on. I know it was very last-minute stuff trying to come together, so really happy we were able to get him on. And if you haven't read that article already, I retweeted it. Rob retweeted it. Go find it. It's a good read to get you even a little bit more excited. I think we know what this rivalry means, but even more so. This is a fun game, and there's more history to it than I think a lot of fans realize.
Yeah, it's a great rivalry, and just love the article and just reading the history. For me being a new guy up here, it was great. And go read it. You will not be disappointed. Michael was even smiling when he was reading it earlier.
Yeah, this is something where these two schools didn't hate each other at the beginning. It was NDSU and UND. That's why a lot of the older fans around this program, their chief rival is still UND, and I get that. But when you move up to the FCS level, Division I AA, whatever it was, and both schools come up at the same time, it only made sense for them to become rivals, and that's how this whole thing kind of started, and is absolutely 100% taken off because both programs have built themselves up to be really, really good.
Yeah, and he even talked about in the article just the coaching and the athletic staff meeting literally at the state line and said, what are we going to do? And then there was the marker. All right, the Dakota marker. Just an incredible story and history behind this rivalry.
Yeah, it's a scene out of the show Yellowstone where athletic directors are meeting at a state line to shake hands and be like, let's do it, just secret behind closed door meetings, basically.
Well, it's a good thing there wasn't a big canyon laying next to that, because some of those guys may not came back.
May not have come back, and it makes sense. It is a great trophy, and there's so many good rivalries. I think the trophy game is a little overdone in college football overall. You see some schools that got like 8 of them or 6 of them on their schedule. I love that this is the only one right now. And I know there was one. There was the nickel, NDSU, UND. I'd love for there to be another trophy on the line for that one. I think that would up the rivalry a little bit. Bring back the nickel. Make it something else. I don't really care. Let's get a trophy for that one. But I think this one's been done the right way. It's a pretty simple trophy. There's not much to it. It's just a marker. But it's kind of perfect at the same time.
And I love it, too. I mean, it's not this corporate thing either. There's not and nothing on, corporate who helps out because we know the value of that. But it's just a pure, honest to goodness, down to earth, put in a good dip trophy.
Perfect for the two states, too. Nothing flashy about the states. It's farmers. It's blue collar. It's, trailblazing on the grass and the combines and the tractors. It kind of fits the two states pretty well as well, which is another good thing. This coverage, our coverage of NDSU and SDSU all week long, has been brought to you by The Bridges. Online, bridgesnd.com. Whether you're a student or a parent of one, find the perfect living space with controlled access, a fun environment, affordable prices, and just steps away from buses to all of the local colleges. No spots right now at The Bridges because it's such a great spot to stay at, but if you sign up for that 2023-24 school year, all application fees are waived, and a great lifestyle at The Bridges as well with all-inclusive pricing, water, electric, cable, heating, crucial for this time of year. All of it's included in one monthly fee at The Bridges, and fully furnished units with beds, couches, desks, all of that included, plus a smart TV in every unit. And each room has its own private bathroom. You rent by the room, and every unit has its own in-unit laundry, too. So a lot of great stuff there at The Bridges. Want to take a tour? Again, online, bridgesnd.com. Take a break, come back, wrap up hour number 1 at noon. Aaron Torres, Fox Sports Radio, joins us.
Bison Nation, your exclusive home for North Dakota State athletics. Bison 1660.
As the days get shorter and the temps get a little cooler, now is the time to start thinking about projects for Rick Electric in your home this fall. Hey, it's Chris Hansen. Rick Electric has been proudly providing services in the Fargo-Moorhead area since 1964. Right now's a great time to schedule your winter projects, like having a Generac whole house generator with automatic transfer switch installed, or more outlets for Christmas lights. Rick Electric, 233-6194, or go to rickelectric.com.
Corwin Ram has the region's largest selection of new trucks in stock and ready for immediate delivery. During Ram Power Days, get financing as low as 0% on a new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab. Need more power to get the job done? Trade in your current vehicle and receive $1,500 in trade assistance on a new 2022 Ram 2500. With up to 20,000-pound towing capacity, it's never met a job it can't handle. Shop Corwin Ram today. Online at corwinauto.com.
The Bison Hotline post-game show is broadcasting live this year from Applebee's on 19th Avenue North in Fargo. Come see the Bison 1660 crew live after every NDSU football game and register to win prizes including Bison 1660 t-shirts, tickets to upcoming games, and a whole lot more. Plus, take advantage of the great food and drink specials at Applebee's. Bison Hotline broadcasting live after every NDSU football game from Applebee's on 19th Avenue North in Fargo, right across from the Fargo Dome. Horns up.
I'm Emily. I had my LASIK surgery here at Vance Thompson Vision. Being in the healthcare field, the highest technology is huge for patients. For me, that was the leading choice and why I chose to go with Vance Thompson Vision. Life without glasses in the operating room has been incredible for me. There's no more fogging. There's no more having issues with my glasses sliding down on my face. It's been great for me.
Call 877-522-EYES to schedule a free consultation.
With the rising threat of cybersecurity attacks, you need to ensure your business is fully protected. Data loss, ransomware attacks, and other breaches can disrupt your business and damage your reputation. Consolidated Communications Cloud Secure Service safeguards your business from these attacks by securing your network, data, and applications. We proactively monitor your security to prevent intrusions before they compromise your IT systems while protecting your staff in the office or when working remotely. Visit consolidatedcommunications.com/cloudsecure to protect your business.
Hi, I'm Grant Nelson, NDSU Bison basketball player. Whether it's playing basketball or driving in my car, I want to do everything to the best of my ability, on the court and off the court. So when I'm in the car, I up my game with the Drive for Less program from Nodak Insurance. I could save up to 30% on my premium just for driving safely. To me, that's a slam dunk. Download the Nodak Insurance app today.
You're listening to your home for NDSU athletics.
To the 10, cut to the 5, shot in there, baby!
Bison 1660.
Here with you inside the Theraldson Ethanol Broadcast Center. Theraldson Ethanol in Castleton is open for corn receiving right now through Saturday, through tomorrow. For wet and dry corn, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., contact Brad or Doug at Theraldson Ethanol or visit cmgtheraldsonethanol.com for more information. By the way, a couple of things to give away today. You can go to our Facebook page for all of it. Call your shot, your chance to win a free night stay at Homewood Suites in Fargo. your home away from home in a great spot here in town, right just steps away from the Fargo Dome. Great spot to visit if you're coming in town for a game. Call Your Shot, our Facebook page, Bison1660. Go there right now. Find the post about Call Your Shot and comment on that post with your prediction in this game. Before kickoff tomorrow, whoever's closest to the actual final score will win a free night stay courtesy of Homewood Suites. And also, your chance to win the Ultimate Tailgate Package. We'll give that away here in about an hour. All you got to do to register for that one to win a case of Bud Light, some NDSU-themed glassware as well, some swag to get you ready and up your tailgate game. All you have to do to try and win that prize to register for it is text the keyword MARKER, M-A-R-K-E-R, MARKER, to 701-476-1660. A couple of things are given away to you every week during the football season, thanks to Bud Light, the official beer of the Bison, and Homewood Suites, your home away from home for Bison football games. Andy, Rob, and Micah with you. Again, this hour of The Insiders every Friday brought to you by the great team at Rick Electric. Been in the area for over 56 years, serving you for commercial and residential products. Call them right now at 218-233-6194, or you can go online to rickelectric.com. Greg Rick and his team are amazing. The Upper Midwest electrical professionals at Rick Electric. Been serving Fargo, Moorhead, and communities around the area since 1964. Whether you're a homeowner, business owner, or a government contracting officer, they are the specialists that can provide a wide range of services there at Rick Electric. Man, it was a fun first hour, Rob.
Went fast.
Yeah.
Great guests. Great to just, hey, let's start getting ready for Saturday, man. And the stars are truly aligning everywhere we look.
Good thing we're just going to calm down for the second hour, right?
No.
No, we're going to keep going.
Notch.
Go up higher. Go up another notch if we can. How about Aaron Torres, Fox Sports Radio, joins us to start off the second hour. And then I've got a little segment we're just going to call Wabbit Season in hour number 2 as well. What's it called, Micah?
Wabbit Season.
Wabbit Season. Wabbit Season. I'm going to give you some reasons why you should be encouraged a little bit more. I've heard some fans nervous about this game. Don't be nervous. There's no reason to be nervous about this game. I'm going to give you some reasons why NDSU and your fans should feel very comfortable going into this game inside the Fargo Dome. All that in hour number 2 of the Insiders Football Friday Dakota Marker Edition.
No one wants to think about it, but the cooler weather and cold morning starts are right around the corner. Get your vehicle ready at one of the 3 locally owned Jiffy Lubes of Fargo. Oil changes are the #1 maintenance item that's neglected. At Jiffy Lube of Fargo, it's easy. No appointment needed. Just drive up and drive in for your signature service oil change and a free charging system check to ensure your vehicle will be ready when you are. Jiffy Lube of Fargo, proudly serving the metro area for over 40 years, where you can do more in a jiffy.
Take a chance and call your shot. Every Friday, we give you a chance to win a free night stay at Homewood Suites in Fargo. Go to our Bison 1660 Facebook page each Friday and look for the Call Your Shot graphic. Whoever comments on that post prior to kickoff with the closest prediction of the final score wins a free night stay at Homewood Suites in Fargo with free Wi-Fi, an indoor pool, and connecting rooms. Homewood Suites is your hotel for Fargo family fun within walking distance of the Fargo Dome. Take a chance and call your shot.
Our Road to the Ring is brought to you by Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry. Senior running back Tamarick Williams set a career-high rushing for 145 yards and 3 touchdowns as top-ranked North Dakota State defeated Indiana State in Terre Haute 31-26 on October the 8th. Wide receiver Zach Mathis also had a career day with 6 receptions for 88 yards, and senior linebacker James Kaiser made a team-high 10 tackles, including 2 sacks. Junior defensive tackle Will Mostart earned his first career Conference Player of the Week honor after blocking a 30-yard field goal to help preserve a 4-point lead late in the third quarter. The Bison are now 3-0 in conference play and 5-1 overall. The Road to the Ring is brought to you by Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry. They have a long history and reputation for quality workmanship and rock-solid pricing. Whether diamond engagement rings, custom jewelry, or repairs, let Brenda and the team at Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry create a legacy for you and your family. Next up for the Bison, they return home to the Fargo Dome to battle the South Dakota State Jackrabbits on Saturday in the annual Dakota Marker Game.
On the Rocks Craft Cocktails bring natural, refreshing, bar-quality, balanced cocktails to the ready-to-drink category. Natural ingredients, no preservatives. Like the Mai Tai with Carusan Rum, the Margarita with Hornitos Tequila, an Old Fashioned with Knob Creek Bourbon, an Aviation with Larios Gin, or get spicy with a Jalapeno Pineapple Margarita with Tres Generaciones Tequila. Or maybe live it up with the Cosmopolitan with Effin' Vodka. On the Rocks Craft Cocktails. Hard to choose, easy to pour. Please drink responsibly.
Try
Truck headquarters. Gateway Chevrolet has new Chevy trucks arriving daily. Buy your new Chevy Silverado at Invoice. Yes, Invoice pricing on new Silverados with a fresh look, new interiors, and larger screens with easy-to-use technology. Save thousands on new Chevy Silverados with 4 different motors available. Dynamic fuel management, Bluetooth, backup camera, Apple CarPlay, and more. Save thousands and enjoy the smooth ride in your new Chevy Silverado from Gateway Chevrolet. Find new roads. Details gatewayfargo.com.
KQWB West Fargo, KPFX HD3 Kindred, and K224FD Fargo. Bison 1660, powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
And here's what you need to know.
Panthers interim head coach Steve Wilkes tabbing P.J. Walker as the starting quarterback for Sunday's game against the Rams. Wilkes said that Baker Mayfield, who's doubtful in that game with an ankle issue, may be active as the emergency backup. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel says quarterback Tua Tagovailoa and Teddy Bridgewater remain in concussion protocol. McDaniel says that if Bridgewater becomes available by tomorrow, that he would play second string to starter Skylar Thompson this upcoming week. ESPN notes the Lakers will use Russell Westbrook off the bench in the team's final preseason game tonight. The team is intent on seeing if Westbrook can evolve and morph into the leader of the reserves. 3 Major League Baseball playoff games today, including Game 3 NLDS between the Braves and the Phillies, and Atlanta naming Spencer Strider as starting pitcher for today's game. I'm Brian Fenley.
You've got the insiders.
How you play today, from this moment on, is how you will be remembered.
That's what living is. That's right. The 6 inches in front of your face.
Bringing you what you need to know and a whole lot more. Topics you care about, guests you know, and the conversations you came to hear. The Insiders are presented by Proceed. Need seed? Think Proceed.
This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Now, here are the Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders. Insiders.
Rob Hipp and Andy Rickoff.
It's a little over 24 hours, ladies and gentlemen, before NDSU and SDSU square off inside the Fargo Dome. Dakota Marker game. And boy, does this one have a lot of other implications as well. We've gone over that one and excited for the game tomorrow. Again, 2:30 kickoff inside the Dome. Our coverage starts bright and early at 8:30 in the morning with the Bison Report Show. 6 hours prior to kickoff, level of our pre- and post-game coverage for you. Post-game, again, just north of the Fargo Dome at Applebee's for Bison Hotline. Myself, James Hendricks, and Chris Hansen will be breaking down what will be a Bison victory. Speaking it into existence, Rob.
100%. It will be the victory.
You're going to say Vikings victory.
I was going to say Vikings
that
victory.
Too.
See, that's the kind of good juice that's flowing up here today in the Thurleton Ethanol Broadcast Center.
I'm
right here.
This
is what's flowing today.
It's what happened in hour number 1. It's what's going to happen here in hour number 2. And hour number 2 on a Friday is brought to you by Wimmer's Diamonds. Wimmer's Diamonds bringing you this hour of the Insiders, a local family-owned jeweler serving and believing in this community for over 100 years. Stop in and see them at their new showroom, 4582 32nd Avenue South in Fargo. Wimmer's Diamonds bringing you this hour of the Insiders. And we start off with a bright, shiny diamond in his own right. One Aaron Torres, Fox Sports Radio, and the Aaron Torres media feed, which is where you can find the FCS Fever podcast, which I was on this week. The NDSU, SDSU game, along with some other stuff about the Valley. Talked about that yesterday. You can find it on the FCS Fever podcast, part of the Aaron Torres media feed. And Aaron, nice enough to give us some time right today on the show. Aaron, always appreciate it, sir. Great to have you back on with us.
Well, I appreciate you giving Chris Sylvester, the host of that show, your time. Chris does an awesome job covering FCS football. He's the voice of Cal Poly football, and obviously you know the Valley as well as anybody, Andy. So I appreciate you giving Chris some of your time. I wish I could contribute a lot to the Dakota Marker conversation, but outside of what I heard you and Chris say, I don't really have much to contribute. But I will say, 1 versus 2, I'm excited to monitor it and just kind of see what happens, because I know how big it is in that area of the country, and I know how much it means for FCS football, that game specifically.
Yeah, Chris Sylvester does a really good job with the podcast. Was very happy to be joining him on this week's episode, and joined him a couple of times throughout the year, hopefully a few more times as the season goes along. as he has dubbed me the Valley correspondent. So I'll take that. I'll take the title if I can get it.
Nice.
Yeah, right? Add it to the resume.
Business cards, T-shirts? He hasn't asked me for T-shirts or business cards yet, but we'll get some for you, Andy.
There we go. I love the merchandise. That's what we're talking about. Again, Aaron Torres here with us. One thing I will bring up to you, college football at large, this time of year is just great because you're in the midst of college football and the NFL. I know college basketball gets going here in just a little bit, the NBA as well, and NHL even has gotten going here this week. But a big game in college football, Alabama and Tennessee. What are you looking forward to in that game of two top 6 teams in the SEC?
Well, it's a really fun matchup, and obviously, Tennessee historically has been a really good program at times, and they've been really bad. And so, listen, I'm excited that they appear to have a coach and are on the right trajectory. But I think obviously what I'm looking at is frankly what everybody else is not only if Bryce Young is going to play the reigning Heisman Trophy quarterback, but I think a lot of people are kind of asking the wrong question about that situation. I'm not so concerned if he'll play. What I'm concerned is what percentage will he be playing at. Nick Saban used the term pitch count earlier in the week, referencing, he's practicing, but we're limiting what he does. And guys, you've been around football long enough to know, I mean, when a guy is at half speed or being labeled on a pitch count on Tuesday, Wednesday, it's usually not a good sign that they're going to be 100% ready to go on Saturday. So that's going to be a really fun one. Obviously, the atmosphere is going to be insane, but I'm just really curious, not only does Bryce Young play, but if he does, at what percentage he'll be at.
Do you get the feeling at all that the national championship's a little bit more open than we thought it was going into the season? Georgia had a pretty close scare with Missouri. Alabama's had a couple of close ones. This one could be pretty close as well. Ohio State seems really good, but they haven't won the championship in a number of years. It feels a little bit more open to me.
I think there's no doubt, Andy, and I think there's a couple reasons why. I think one, that top tier outside of maybe Ohio State, who really, they haven't played a team that's currently ranked in the top 25 right now. I believe their best win is against Wisconsin, which is 4-2, or 3-3, something like that. I can't remember. But I don't think that top tier is as good as it's been in certain years. And I think that second tier is starting to elevate itself a little bit. I mean, last year Clemson, we all kind of monitored it from a distance, but they quote-unquote had a down year, still won 10 games, but the quarterback play wasn't what it had been with Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. Not saying that DJ Uiagalelei is that guy, but he's been better. 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The completion percentage is up. Turnovers are down, all that stuff. So Clemson's there. Michigan might be back in that mix. We'll learn a little bit about that on Saturday against Penn State. Penn State might be in that mix depending on how things look. Tennessee, all of a sudden, part of the Tennessee-Alabama story is that Tennessee's really good, but part of it is, again, that Alabama doesn't seem as invincible. So I don't think there's any doubt, Andy. And I think even most years once we get to the playoff, we kind of know who's going to win those semifinals, and then it comes down to, maybe 2 teams that we really like in the title game. This is the year where, if Clemson gets in, I mean, would I be shocked if they beat a Georgia, or if Michigan gets in, would I be shocked if they beat an Alabama? I wouldn't be, just because I don't think the gap between, say, 1-2 or 1-2-3 and everybody else is as big as it's been.
Hey, Aaron, Rob Hipp, voice of the Bison here, man. Great to have you on. A team that's obviously not going to get into the playoff, but a team that I wanted to highlight, as many of our fans always keep up with, James Madison, coming from FCS and now in the FBS. I mean, we're talking only 6 games in to the FBS transition. They're already ranked number 25. Just your thoughts on the Dukes and how they've been able to have that success.
Well, for why they're having success, they're playing great defense. I mean, that's why. But, guys, you've been around NDSU, and I just think a championship listen, I've been around enough coaches to know, the mindset that you need to be at the highest level, to win at the highest level. It's not just what we do on Saturday. It's what you do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, of course. And so when I look at somebody like James Madison, they've had that mindset for 3, 4, 5 years now, obviously winning a national championship, probably even longer. Multiple coaches have had success there. Multiple coaches have won at a really high level, and they've established a baseline of not what the results are on Saturday, but how we work to get those results. It's interesting. Nick Saban talked this week at Alabama about about his guys needing to learn how to eliminate losing habits before they start worrying about winning itself. And so you look at a program like James Madison, I think those guys just know what it takes to compete at the highest level. Excuse me. As you guys know from your experience covering NDSU, the gap between the highest levels of the FCS and most of the FBS isn't as big as I think the average fan would think. And so, there's not as much of a talent discrepancy. There's obviously a culture and a system in place with James Madison that allowed them to have success at the FCS level. And now they're just kind of changing up the uniforms of the teams that they're playing and continuing that success. I think it's a great point by you, Rob. I think it's one of the great stories in college football. And I think we get so caught up in the playoff picture and number one, Alabama, and is Ohio State better? It's like sometimes we need to appreciate a story like James Madison, who's been absolutely awesome.
I think we got Aaron Torres here with us, Fox Sports Radio and the Aaron Torres media feed. What's up with the coaching firings at the FBS level and in college football overall? What do you make of it? Because I feel like it's a little bit different than we've seen in years past, where these firings are happening. We're only like 6 weeks into the season here, Aaron. Like, why are you firing a coach at this point? Should you have just fired him before the season got going if you're going to fire him? Scott Frost, Paul Christ, we've seen it at Georgia Tech as well, Arizona State. What do you make of all those moves?
All of them are a little bit different, Andy. I mean, I think it speaks to the bigger thing of the recruiting calendar has been moved up with the early signing period where, you kind of wait until, the first week in December. I mean, you're signing, 60, 75% of your class that very next week. And so I think a lot of schools feel like we need to get rid of the last guy. And we got to start to figure out who is going to be the next guy. Now, at the highest levels, if you're USC and you end up with a Lincoln Riley, or you're LSU and you end up with Brian Kelly, you're obviously going to have to wait. But I'll give you an example. I mean, I'm a UConn alum, and UConn fired Randy Edsall early last year. Jim Mora was hired in November and had really 3 or 4 weeks at the end of the year to evaluate the team, evaluate the coaching staff, and frankly, he was recruiting. Now, this was in the transfer portal era where there weren't windows where guys could kind of enter whenever they wanted. So I just bring it up because I think it's really the recruiting calendar which has changed some things, and people have asked me, Andy, like, is this right, is this wrong? And I think every situation is different. I think, I credit Nebraska for, Scott Frost, 1 million close losses last year. Is Scott Frost the guy? Can they figure it out? They clearly couldn't. But I like that they brought him back for another year. Herm Edwards, on the other hand, has been under a cloud of investigation for years now, and frankly was only back because, the AD is his buddy and all that stuff. So I think every circumstance is different. Wisconsin, I don't think anybody thought Wisconsin would make that move. And I think in their case, we want to give Jim Leonard a 7-8 game sample size to see if he really is the guy as an assistant that other people want to interview for their head coaching job. So everyone's a little bit different, but I think the bigger thing is the recruiting period. Everybody knows that, if we wait until December, 9th, 10th to fire our coach, that means that we're not going to get the next guy in place. We're in this world that we live in now, we're going to lose a lot of that class, not be able to replace it, and that's frankly why a lot of these decisions are being made.
Yeah, you see at the professional level with Matt Rule and getting fired there at Carolina, go on, take the money and run in that one. Do you think is he coming back to college, do you think?
Well, and it's really interesting you say that, Rob, because, my first instinct when Matt Rule got fired was, if I'm Nebraska, I'm on a flight to Carolina, I'm helping him pack his office, and I'm trying to get him signed right now because he can, listen, I don't know the exact NCAA rules in terms of, how many countable coaches and all that stuff, but I bring it up because in theory, Matt Rule could be, if he gets fired Monday and you hire him on Wednesday, he in theory can be on the road recruiting for you on Friday. Now, that's obviously an aggressive timeline, but I bring it up because that's something that can happen, and it was an interesting byproduct of that. Now, we all found out after the fact about the $40 billion buyout, and, I can't speak for you guys, but I wouldn't be in a rush to get back to the next thing if somebody was going to pay me $40 million.
Neither would I.
Over the next. I think a lot of us would not be. So, but that's an interesting kind of twist in this era of whether it is a coach that's fired. Clay Helton's another example. He was fired at USC, hired at Georgia Southern by the end of the year, doing the same thing that I just mentioned with Jim Mora, evaluating the team, all that stuff. So it's a crazy new world. And, if Matt Rule didn't have, say, that buyout, I do wonder, if schools, or frankly, he is more aggressive in trying to find that next landing spot. And again, because of how things are right now, you can be on the road recruiting for your new team as soon as you sign up. We've seen it with other schools, and I'm curious if Matt Rule does take the plunge or if somebody else does, if we see it a little bit at some of these openings right now.
Getting close to basketball season. I know the teams are practicing. We're about 3 weeks away from the first games. NDSU plays on the first night you can play against Arkansas, and then Kansas a couple days after that. So a tough slate for NDSU to start the season in non-conference play. Who are you putting as that early season favorites in college basketball?
There's a lot of really good teams this year. I mean, I think the favorite to me does have to be North Carolina. Played for a title last year. For people who are kind of just dusting off that part of their brain that loves college hoops, obviously beat Duke in the Final Four, beat Duke in Coach K's final regular season home game, and then his final game period. And they play for a title. They lose to that Kansas team that NDSU will see early. But then they do bring back 4 starters, and this was an NIL, I think, driven thing. They had a lot of guys that would be maybe late first, early second round picks and said, hey, I can make some money playing college, and I think this is what NIL was intended to be. Established stars made a lot of money for their schools. They should be able to make money for themselves as well, and now you have a situation where North Carolina plays for a title and has 4 starters back. But I don't think they're the only one. I think UCLA, where I live, I think is really good. I know they like their group over there. Kentucky's going to be good again. They're actually more of a veteran team, which is obviously a different deal with John Calipari. And then I think some schools that are kind of non-traditional from the college basketball perspective. I think Houston's going to be really good this year. Made an Elite Eight for the second straight year last year and returned a bunch of guys, including some guys that were injured that weren't even playing during that run. And then also, I think Creighton, not far from you guys, out there in Omaha. They returned 4 starters off of what was a really good team by the end of the year. They pushed Kansas to the brink in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Those are a couple teams outside of the obvious Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina, UCLA types that I'm really excited about.
Well, you mentioned Creighton. An interesting thing about Creighton is they got a player from the Summit League on their team now. Baylor Shireman,
right.
the transfer from SDSU on Creighton.
That was a big hot topic, let me tell you that, in the college basketball kind of space off season, is that I didn't really like it. I kind of know a little bit about, how his recruitment went down. He's from Nebraska. Obviously, we just talked about NIL. We know what NIL can do for certain players in certain areas, and Baylor Shireman was from Nebraska. They had us, again, it was a spot similar to North Carolina. 4 starters were gone, or 4 starters were back, and they needed that 5th guy. He was a plug-and-play guy. And so, but it became a big thing because there were reports that it was only about NIL and that, there were promises made, and that's not the impression that I've gotten at all. But yes, he is a very important piece to what they do. And then obviously, if I'm not mistaken, I think Coach Mack has some ties to North Dakota State.
Sure does.
So I guess North Dakota State in the Big East will have somebody to kind of root for, because that Creighton team, I think they're going to be really good. And it's funny because, you see this time of year, different people have different opinions. And I think they're kind of one of the more polarizing ones of, they got hot late last year, blah, 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 blah. I don't think what people realized was they were replacing all 5 starters off of their team from the year before. It took them a while to get going. I really like that group that they have there.
Yep. They got a good team, and that's a really good player that they had. And Greg McDermott, definitely some ties to NDSU. Served as a head coach at NDSU for just a little while, so definitely a tie here to this area. Aaron, always appreciate it. Thanks for giving us some time here once again. Best time of the year coming up, my friend. You get college football and college basketball going here in just a couple of weeks.
Totally agree. I appreciate you guys having me. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Like I said, I'll be watching. I'll be paying attention. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
There he goes. Aaron Torres, nice enough to stop by and give us a little bit of his time. Today's show brought to you in part by Red River Commodities with Sun Butter, the maker of delicious sunflower butters the whole family can enjoy. Sun Butter is free of the top 8 food allergens and grown in the tri-state area and produced locally at Red River Commodities in Fargo. Sun Butter, simple ingredients, delicious flavor, helping bring you Easton Stick each and every week here on The Insiders. We talk with Easton every Tuesday during the football season, and boy, do they got a big game coming up. Monday Night Football, SoFi Stadium in L.A. as the Chargers host the Denver Broncos and Broncos country ain't riding very well.
Let's hide.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no let's ride. It's all go in a tunnel and just lock yourself in.
Somebody called into the Dan Patrick show earlier this week, or last week after their Thursday night game that was a debacle, and said, Broncos country, I cried, which I thought was also a rather funny one because it fit quite well with how that offense is ticking so far. And now, strangely enough, Russell Wilson's the shoulder's been busted. There's the reason why it hasn't been going very well. The shoulder's a bit busted up. Take a break, though. We'll come back, talk about this matchup, NDSU and SDSU, and why you should be a little bit more confident. I think some fans are out there. A little segment we're going to call a Wabbit season coming up for you next when we come back here on a Friday edition of The Insiders.
Your home for the Thundering Herd. Bison 1660.
Proceed Experience is the people that we're working with, the hands-on. We're not a super large company, but we're a hands-on dealing with customers. I know most of these fields because of the time I've been covering this area. In many cases, I've covered with up to the third generation of operators on the farm, from grandpa down to the son that's being handed over to now, and we build our business on service. You take care of the customer and they take care of you.
Need seed? Think Proceed. Proceed.net. Great seed at a reasonable price.
When it comes to your electrical needs, you only need one call, and that's to JDP Electric. Whether it's a small residential project or a larger commercial job, JDP's team of professionals will work with you closely to make the process easy. Their dedicated team of professionals can assist with any size project or idea you may have, and even provide a few ideas they see that fit your budget as well. Call 232-1991 today to experience the JDP difference, or online at jdpelectric.net. The most important aspect of any sport is teamwork. Someone to set up for the perfect play. In the real estate market, Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty is the perfect teammate. He won't stop until your home is sold or you score big with your dream home. Call Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty today at 701-371-4234 or visit him at Beyond Realty, 4832 Amber Valley Parkway in Fargo. Todd is a proud partner and the preferred realtor of NDSU Athletics. Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty, moving the herd one home at a time. Fall is about tradition. Tradition on the field with Bison football and tradition in the cooler with Bud Light, the official beer of the NDSU Bison. When you're enjoying a clean sack or a perfectly timed touchdown pass, let the crisp, cold, clean taste of Bud Light tackle your taste buds. The only bigger crowd pleaser on Saturday is another Bison win. Whether it's in the tailgate zone, a couch gate at home, or inside the Fargo Dome, the Bison go best with Bud Light, the official beer of the NDSU Bison. Please drink responsibly, never drink and drive.
Cardinal IG would like to shine the spotlight on their employees celebrating October anniversaries. Neandwi Stanislas is celebrating 15 years. Abonyo Ajang is celebrating 10 years. Aaron Kapabe, 5 years. Tite Benazerwe, Mohammed Yusuf, and Chris Welesha are all celebrating their first year. From the entire team, thank you. Cardinal IG offers competitive pay, outstanding benefits, and an extensive training program. To view open positions or to apply, visit cardinalfargo.com.
Here's your Red River Valley weather update on Bison 1660.
A slight chance of rain mixing with snow at times for your Friday as temperatures will reach the low 40s. Expect gusty conditions today, and overnight skies will remain cloudy with a low near 30.
This weather update brought to you by Minn Kota Windows. Just when your kids thought it was time to head outside, a cold snap rolls in. Ditch the coat and snuggle up with peace of mind, knowing that Minn Kota's energy-efficient vinyl will block out the brutal cold and save you money. Midwest built, Midwest tough. Guaranteed for life.
Hey, Bison Nation, this is NDSU quarterback Cam Miller.
This one is a keeper by Miller, left side touchdown.
And you're listening to The Insiders on Bison 1660.
4 up front, pressure showing right side. Here's Chambers, pump fakes once, tries to elude, goes down on a sack, baby, around the 25-yard line. Coming up with his hands in the air was a beautiful sack on the play. Will Mostart getting it started early.
Let's get it started early and keep it going as well this week. Will Mostart. Keep that hot play going, too.
Why is it every
time
hand
up, get the sack, all that kind of stuff.
Why is it every time I hear that music, I think it's bow, wow, wow, yippee-yo, yippee-yay. That's not it, is it?
No.
It has the same
Coolio,
feel
yeah.
to it.
Well, it's got a good beat. Coolio, baby.
One of these days I'm going to start freestyling
right,
up in here for y'all.
Do it.
Not right now, though.
Freestyle. Yeah, we'll do it every Friday. Rob's Freestyling Fridays. We're Freestyling Friday with Rob.
Guess
Rob
what
Hip.
we'll do? We'll do it live.
Getting hip with Rob Hip on a Freestyle Friday. There you go. That's what we'll do.
If you get bored, go to YouTube. Just type in, we'll do it live, and you'll see the video, and then you'll know what I'm talking about.
We'll do it live. Andy Rickoff, Rob Hip here with you, getting you ready for the Dakota Marker game. And, again, all of our coverage of this game brought to you by the Bridges Online, Bridges, nd.com. We're here with you inside the Theraldson Ethanol Broadcast Center, and Theraldson Ethanol in Castleton is open for corn receiving now through Saturday for wet and dry corn, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Contact Brad or Doug at Theraldson Ethanol or visit cmgtheraldsonethanol.com for more information. Okay, let's get some football bed music. I think this is more than deserving of football bed music. It's NDSU, it's SDSU. We'll get that going. I don't know about you, Rob, but we've talked to Bison Nation quite a bit. I'm not saying that Bison Nation is out there saying, I'm worried about this game and it's not going to go well. We're the worst team. And it's not like that. But I get a slight sense. There's maybe a little bit more trepidation for this game. And, it's a good team, right? It's SDSU. There should be some. But in years prior, it's been like, I don't care if they're good. We're better. I don't get quite that same level of confidence from the fans this week for some reason.
Well, I think it's just you go back to the games that, you look at Arizona. I think that was one that really started like we should have won that game is what the fan base thinks. And yeah, that was a tough game. And then there was other games that were just a little too close for comfort like Indiana State. It's just been the history of this team with the expectation we're going to go in and roll things. Everything has been tough this year. It's been a tougher season. Youngstown State is a better team than we thought. Got to give them credit. But it's a Bison team that is, I still believe, has continued to show progress in certain areas that they need to. The tackling is one area that they got better in last week, Andy.
Yeah.
So it's just the adversity. I spin it positively because that's how I'm wired anyways. But I will tell you that, look, we've overcame adversity and we've won games. Granted, we have not played a team like South Dakota State yet this season in the FCS. But I don't think that matters at this point.
I would agree with you. But I get the feeling the fan base, and I get it. There's been some games. Indiana State probably should have won by more. USD trailing at half. I get it. I get a little bit of nervousness. And this is a very good team in SDSU. Number 2 team in the country. No doubt. Very good program. They got this thing cooking. I got a little bit more hyped up for it last night. I dove into some of the numbers, and I'm like, wait. These are all in favor of NDSU? I would have been led to believe just by talking to people that some of these numbers shouldn't be in favor of the Bison. They haven't been as good. So I'm going to go through some numbers. We got a sounder. I think this segment deserves a title. And the title would be
Wabbit Season.
Wabbit Season. As Looney Tunes has depicted, Duck Season, Wabbit Season, Duck Season, Wabbit Season. So I'm going to give you a couple of stats of why I think NDSU you should feel a little bit more confident for your Bison Nation. I mentioned one of them to Cole Jirik earlier in the show when we had him on around 11:15 or so. We think this team has all the experience inside the dome. They have a lot of experience inside the dome for these players in terms of actually playing in the game. First-year starter at center, Gus Miller. First-year starter at center. That's key. He's going to have to snap the ball every time. Make this thing loud. Make it so maybe the snap count gets a little off between him and Gronowski. Maybe he's worried about the guys across from him as well. First-year starter, Gus Miller. First time in the dome for him. Mark Gronowski. Started a couple of years. He's played, right? He knows all about this rivalry. He knows all about the Fargo Dome. Only time he's played inside the dome was that spring season. Just a little over 8,000 fans inside the dome. Nothing close to what he is going to experience tomorrow. How about all their other skill position players? Yankees are great. They've been great in this rivalry. They're very good players. I'm not saying these players can't still have a good game, but they haven't played inside a fully packed dome. These guys have played against NDSU a couple of times, and they've been on the team. They've made a trip to Fargo. Haven't really played inside of a fully packed dome. I don't think they've played in the dome that's going to be this level. Same thing with Gronowski. Same thing with Zach Hines. He's played a little bit. Hasn't needed to be that primary tight end in a game like this because I don't think Tucker Kraft's going to play, and if he does, it's going to be very, very, very limited. Might warm up on the sidelines and then not play, kind of like we saw with Isaiah Davis not so long ago in this rivalry. Same thing with most of their offense. They just haven't experienced this game playing in it inside a fully packed dome. Fans, you can have an impact. You can really have an impact in this game. They played at Iowa this year, so they've played in some noise. They've played in some environments like that. I get it. Coaching staff knows what's coming to them. They prepared them for this week. They did that in practice with noise. You can't replicate it, though, and these players have not played in this game. Combine that with the fact that you're just more juiced up for this game, you can get some of those false starts. You can get a little jittery, a little jumpy on those lines, offensive and defensive. Fans, make an impact. Get that false start counter up. The fact that they don't have as much experience as I thought they did inside the dome, I'm confident about it.
James Hendricks talked about the first 15 plays and how successful they usually are. Well, the fans can be a detriment to those first 15 plays on that opening drive for SDSU.
Absolutely they can. So that's one reason why you should feel a little bit more confident.
Wabbit Season.
Wabbit Season. Let's continue. I've been led to believe the NDSU's offense ain't that good. outside of Hunter Lipke, Lipke's amazing. Yeah. They can't really pass the ball. Some of those numbers just aren't great. The offense isn't really cooking. Who's got the number one scoring offense in the Missouri Valley Conference? Would you care to venture a guess on that one, Rob Hipp?
Yeah, North Dakota State.
Oh, that's right. Scoring offense, NDSU, 6 games. SDSU also 6 games. Everybody, 6 games for the most part. A couple teams with only 5. But NDSU, 36.5 points per game, 219 points overall. Number one scoring offense in the Valley. Rabbit season. How about scoring defense? Yes, SDSU is number one. I will give them credit there. Very good defense. Give them 12.17 points per game. NDSU is second, 17.5 points per game. Defense is basically identical there, right? 5 points. I get that's a little bit of a margin, but 1 versus 2 scoring defense. NDSU is the number one scoring offense in the Valley this year. SDSU has just 27 points per game, 9.5 points a game difference. They are the 4th scoring offense in the league this season. How about total defense? NDSU is also number 2 there, just behind South Dakota State. They're neck and neck in scoring defense and total defense so far this year. And so I don't think the margin of the gap there is that wide on defense. We're talking about the NDSU rushing defense has got to play a lot better. And they do. I agree with you. There's an area for improvement there. But I think we've got we've over-dramatized the gap there of, their defense just hasn't been good this year. They're right there. There's a couple of points per game difference on scoring defense and total defense so far this year. Meanwhile, scoring offense, they've been better than the Jacks. They've been the best team in the conference this year. Also, this passing offense just isn't good enough. It's just not good enough. NDSU they can't throw the ball through the air. Haven't been consistent there. We can't find out who the receiver is for them, and that's going to be the detriment to NDSU overall in this game. Care to venture a guess who's got the number one passing offense in the Missouri Valley Football Conference so far this year?
The number one passing offense?
In terms of completion percentage.
Definitely us.
Yeah, North Dakota State.
Cam Miller's been on top.
Yeah, been great through the air in completion percentage. Number 1 there, NDSU. Passing offense, Missouri State's up there as well. They're number 1. NDSU is the 4th passing offense. That's North Dakota has the 4th passing offense. North Dakota State's down in the passing offense. I'll give them that. But coming off a 210-yard game, they're getting better. They're at that point right now where NDSU is starting to get there and make things click. I liked what I saw last week in the passing game. Over 200 yards. Doing things efficiently. Not turning the ball over. Passing defense. Who's number 1? NDSU, number 1 passing defense in the league. Hit the button again. Number 1 passing defense in the Valley is NDSU ahead of South Dakota State. We talk about Gronowski. Talk about the Yankees. Hines. If Kraft comes back, the difference he can make in the passing game. The number 1 pass defense. I know we talk about the rushing defense and being a little vulnerable there. The passing defense has been great. Marquise Siegel's going to get some more playing time. He's phenomenal. He's been so good. I don't think we've talked about Marquise Siegel enough. We know about Jaden Price and Destin Talbert and Courtney Eubanks. Marquise Siegel's going to play more. He was the top-rated cornerback last week for NDSU in pass coverage. He's been really, really good. Expect to see Marquise Siegel out there quite a bit.
Yeah, the pass defense, you talk about Gronowski and his success, but you just brought up a great point. The pass defense, North Dakota State on top of the Valley, 132 yards. Guess who's second? South Dakota State, but they're giving up 170. I mean, that's a 40-yard differential in a game that's going to come down to the wire, in my opinion. Those are things that are going to be the separation.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Let's go to special teams, shall we? How about special teams? Field goals. North Dakota State, 6 games, has attempted 7 field goals. They have made 5 of those field goals. I will also put in this as a little bit of extra perspective on that. Griffin Crosa has attempted 5 field goals.
And made all 5.
He has made all 5 field goals. So the primary field goal kicker for NDSU has not missed a field goal this season. South Dakota State attempted 11 field goals on the year. By the way, that's the second most in the conference. So settling for field goals a little bit on offense. They have made 5 of the field goals. 5 of 11, 45% made percentage on field goals this year for SDSU. Hit the button again. I feel a little bit more confident. Special teams is in favor of NDSU in this game. Caden Steindorf's been great. Griffin Cross has been automatic on the field goals and the extra points. Knock on wood.
Will Cardinal touchbacks.
Will Cardinal's been good on the touchbacks, too. Jaden Price, great returner. SDSU is one of those teams that's willing to kick to him a little bit, I think. You could see a return in this game. Bison have 2 blocked field goals on the year. Special teams. SDSU's like the little shaky on the field goals so far this year. Let's get a block. Let's get in there. Cause some havoc. I like the special teams matchup. Way in favor of NDSU, in my opinion.
Who has the fewest number of punts in the Valley?
Oh,
North Dakota State.
Just say North Dakota State. Hit the button again.
Who's in the middle of that pack?
SDSU.
South
Hit
Dakota
the button
State.
again. Rabbit season. Let's get pumped up. You should feel more confident, guys. There's a lot of stats in favor of NDSU in this game. SDSU's got a good offense, and it is starting to click. You look at the last couple of games, scored a lot of points at Missouri State, 28 points against USD, a team that knows them well. The offense really wasn't clicking early on. You can get them in a little bit of a funk. You stop them early. Again, those first 15 plays, you stop out. That script that they have. You kind of control the game early, which the fans can have a huge impact in because these guys haven't played in a fully packed Fargo Dome, as we've already laid out. You can really kind of frustrate that offense and get them off their game a little bit. I think you can in this game. There's a lot of stats in favor of NDSU, and we didn't even mention the stat that's most in favor of NDSU. Didn't even go to that one because it's an obvious one. The rushing game. Rushing yards per game in the Valley. Clearly, NDSU is going to be number one. Yes, SDSU is number two. There's no doubt about that. They're number two. They got a good rushing game. Gronowski's going to be a little bit of an X factor. And obviously, Isaiah Davis is a very good running back. SDSU is 165 yards per game. Very good number. 165 yards a game. 11 touchdowns as well. NDSU's at 265, 100 yards more per game on the ground. They've got Hunter Lipke, Tamarick Williams, and they've scored 19 touchdowns on the ground to 11 for SDSU. Hit the button again. Thank you very much.
Speaking of offense, how critical is it on third downs that you get that first down? Guess who's number one in the Valley? North Dakota State. 6 games, 52% on third down. South Dakota State through 6 games, only 40% on third down.
There you go. Passing efficiency is a good thing. Completion percentage is a good thing. They're being efficient in the passing game. I know the passing offense needs to pick up a little bit, get more yards, more attempts on there. But when you're running the ball for 265 yards a game, you're doing something right. That's where this game is going to be won. I've said it before. Offensive and defensive line. The Rams have to impose their will on that defensive line for SDSU. It's not an easy task. They've got some great players on that line, and they've got a linebacker in Bach that's going to be up for the Buck Buchanan. There's no doubt. But if you're telling me the key to the game is the Rams have to win their battles, give me the Rams 100%.
Can we also put to rest the penalties finally? Because I know that seemed to be an issue early on. I'm going to go ahead and start to put that to rest. South Dakota State did the math. They're averaging 7 penalties a game, 41 through 6 games. North Dakota State, just under 6 penalties a game, 35. 6 fewer penalties.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Rabbit season. So what's going to happen when Spencer Wagey comes off the edge and he sees Mark Gronowski there standing in the pocket? He's going to be thinking about... Thank you very much. He's going to be thinking about rabbit season. Hunter Lipke gets the ball in the hole and he has to run over a linebacker. What's he thinking about? Rabbit season. Zach Mathis one-on-one because they will guard him one-on-one. They will do that. They'll put him on an island and say, beat us through the air. Cam Miller sees Zach Mathis one-on-one in the end zone against the defensive back. What's he thinking? Rabbit season. We're going to cook him.
Cole Payton comes in to run. And you see how big this quarterback is. That fire in his eyes. You're a defender trying to come up and make a tackle. What's he thinking?
He hands it off to Cam Miller and goes out on a wheel route, and Cam Miller sees him wide open, throws the ball to Cole Payton. What's he thinking? Rabbit season. They line up for a field goal, SDSU does, because they kicked the second most field goals in the Valley so far, and we're thinking, let's get after this field goal and block it. What's going through that whole special teams unit? Rabbit season. Let's go. Fire it up. Ladies and gentlemen, get some confidence. This team's playing well. The turnovers have been the killer. I agree with you. Turnovers at SDSU, at USD, 3 turnovers. At Indiana State, 3 turnovers. At home, been very good in the turnover battle. Very good. We're great against Youngstown State. We're great in the first 2 as well at home. They've been better at home in the turnover battle. That's the only thing that's held them down. The only thing that's made those games close is turnovers. They have not done it at home, and they got the home field advantage in this game. If they do what they've been doing on offense, they can win this game, and they can win it by multiple scores. Not saying they will, but they take care of the football, which is paramount, and they win the line of scrimmage, which if you're telling me to bet on the Rams, I will. I feel good about this one.
And they've worked on just fundamental tackling. Every week I talk to Coach Entz, and every week they say that they've worked more and more on that. They've got the scout team involved, as they always do. And I go back to what we've talked about all week, the fumbles. As guys are falling down, it's not like they're just dropping them. They've said, look, you don't need to extend for those extra yards. Let's just put our faith in our running game. No reason to get an extra yard when you've already got a first down by a mile.
Exactly. Take care of the ball. They'll do that. Yeah, they got to slow down the offense for SDSU. But the pass defense has been so good, I'm not as worried about the Yankees and Hines and everything, because the pass defense has been so good, guys. interceptions, forcing turnovers too, doing a great job in that passing defensive side for Code Green. Plus, you got the fans on your side on there too, with it being a home game when Code Green's on the field. And then, you got to slow down that running attack for the Jacks. What's the best way to do that? Keep the football. Again, that comes down to the Rams, Hunter Lipke, Demarick Williams, Kobe Johnson if he plays. Comes down to the offense being able to extend drives. Might not happen on every drive because SDSU is very good up front, and they've got the ability to slow down NDSU a little bit, no doubt. But over the course of the game, I'll bet on the offensive line for NDSU being able to keep that ball away, the entire offense for NDSU being able to keep that ball away from SDSU because they've been efficient in the passing game, so when they have to pass, they've been able to get completions, and the running game has been outstanding. 265 yards a game, and it's not all just because of North Carolina A&T and Drake. They ran for 300 yards against Indiana State, ran for a ton of yards against Arizona as well, an FBS team. They've done it against good competition. They can do it in this game. I believe it.
I think Bison Nation and just that impact of the Fargo Dome and our fan base is going to make the difference. You can put it on the board. Dakota Marker coming back to Fargo.
Let's do it. Bring it back home. That's what you want to do. And it's been gone for a couple of years now. It's been gone for too long. When I run across that field and grab that Dakota Marker does the team. No doubt about it. And raise the thing above their heads and then hopefully never lose it once again. So hit it one more time. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's one of my favorite Looney Tune things. Rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season. Definitely rabbit season on Saturday inside the Fargo Dome. Take a break. We'll come back. Some thoughts from last night. Talk NFL football a little bit. Micah Bindy's got some explaining to do on the other side when we come back here on The Insiders, brought to you by Proceed.
North Dakota State football plays here. Bison 1660.
The Bison Hotline postgame show is broadcasting live this year from Applebee's on 19th Avenue North in Fargo. Come see the Bison 1660 crew live after every NDSU football game and register to win prizes including Bison 1660 t-shirts, tickets to upcoming games, and a whole lot more. Plus, take advantage of the great food and drink specials at Applebee's. Bison Hotline broadcasting live after every NDSU football game from Applebee's on 19th Avenue North in Fargo, right across from the Fargo Dome. Horns up.
No one wants to think about it, but the cooler weather and cold morning starts are right around the corner. Get your vehicle ready at one of the 3 locally owned Jiffy Lubes of Fargo. Oil changes are the #1 maintenance item that's neglected. At Jiffy Lube of Fargo, it's easy. No appointment needed. Just drive up and drive in for your signature service oil change and a free charging system check to ensure your vehicle will be ready when you are. Jiffy Lube of Fargo, proudly serving the metro area for over 40 years, where you can do more in a jiffy.
Businesses should know that Consolidated Communications has the only data center in the FM area that is SOC 2 certified. That means Consolidated has tested reliable systems in place to protect your valuable data. That's more important than ever with today's security concerns. Many business insurance companies require SOC certification at data storage facilities. You should work with a local data center that is SOC 2 certified. For scalable, cost-effective data center solutions for your changing business needs, go to consolidated.com/data center.
Sugar beet season is in full swing. Are you having issues with your bedliner while hauling? Contact Horn Plastics today. Horn Plastics has industry-leading bedliners that will guarantee you get every dime out of your haul. With a superior slide bedliner, you'll not only prolong the life of your equipment, you'll increase the amount of material in each load, increase the number of loads per day, which in turn makes you more money. Call today for a free estimate or to get your install scheduled. Online at hornplastics.com. That's hornplastics.com. On the Rocks Craft Cocktails bring natural, refreshing, bar-quality, balanced cocktails to the ready-to-drink category. Natural ingredients, no preservatives. Like the Mai Tai with Carusan Rum, the Margarita with Hornitos Tequila, an Old Fashioned with Knob Creek Bourbon, an Aviation with Larios Gin, or get spicy with a Jalapeno Pineapple Margarita with Tres Generaciones Tequila. Or maybe live it up with the Cosmopolitan with Effin' Vodka. On the Rocks Craft Cocktails. Hard to choose, easy to pour. Please drink responsibly.
We all want to be part of a winning team, right? Hi, this is Marcus with Steamatic, and I am very proud of our team. Industry experts have voted Steamatic the best method of cleaning with our patented steam cleaning process, our 24-hour service, and highly trained technicians. We do it all from carpet cleaning, air duct cleaning, fire and water damage restoration, and remember, Bison fanatics choose Steamatic.
Steamatic, call 232-4707.
Hear that? The herd is headed your way. You're hearing from the Insiders right here on Bison 1660.
Rob Hipp, voice of the Bison, Andy Rickoff, some schmuck, and Mike Abindi, a guy that's very bad at predicting NFL games. We'll get to that in just a little bit. Rob, give me a key to this one. NDSU, SDSU, 1 versus 2. Give me a key to the game other than just starting fast.
Yeah, that's the obvious one.
Well, you just mentioned in the first hour.
And controlling the ball, I mean, that's another one too. Look, turnovers, that's an obvious one. Look, the only stat, I don't know how much of a difference it's going to be, but I'll put this one out there. SDSU leads the Valley in time of possession. I think the Bison are going to have to hold on to this ball a little bit longer in this ball game against the Jackrabbits.
Time of possession's a big one. Team that's won that over the last 8 or so battles has won the game every single time. So it comes down to that a lot of years. Time of possession, one of our keys to the game, brought to you by Consolidated Communications, and they provide high-speed internet and phone service for businesses of all sizes. Contact Consolidated Communications today to speak to a representative. Consolidated has the expertise to translate technology into solutions that fit your business. Our keys to the game, brought to you by Consolidated Communications. And also, our show today brought to you in part by Valley Service Mechanical. It was snowing today, folks. It's going to be snowing a lot more in a couple of months as well. Get that furnace checked out by the pros at Valley Service Mechanical. Whether it's the furnace, AC, or plumbing, commercial or residential, there's only one call you need to make, and that's Valley Service Mechanical, 701-293-5701, or online at valleyservice.net. Well, last night was Thursday Night Football, and NFL might want to reconsider having the teams they play, or just reconsider Thursday Night Football altogether, because they have not been good games. It was not a good game last night. And I love Carson, but it wasn't a good game. It was needed, first touchdown wasn't scored till the second half. It was just one of those games where there was nothing going on. 3-0 at halftime as well between the Bears and the Commanders. Wasn't a very good game, so they might want to reconsider Thursday Night Football, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, catching part of that and just seeing Carson early and nothing on him. His receivers were dropping footballs. There's a reason why DP calls it Thursday Night Football. It makes sense now. And some people were complaining about Al Michaels and the energy. Like, who cares? The guy's getting $30 million over 3 years, calling those games. But it was just, it was one of those games, man.
Yeah, the Bears were bringing lots of pressure, got to Carson. They did not get the ball moving, wasn't able to complete enough passes. He threw one beautifully right down the seam on a great post-snap read to Curtis Samuel. Would have been about a 40-yard touchdown, went right through his hands. Dropped it. Flat out dropped it. Later on the same drive, 3rd and 6, throwing a ball to Curtis Samuel, dropped it. Probably would have turned up the field. Might have gotten the first time. Would have been close, at least to the point where you probably could have gone for it on 4th. And, 4th and 1, maybe you go for it instead of 4th and 6 or whatever it ended up being. So didn't get helped up by the receivers, but also as an offense, they really didn't move the ball. Got some help from the Bears on a muffed punt, scored a touchdown, and Washington wins the game 12-7. They move to 2-4, do the Commanders and Carson Wentz, so get a nice win there, trying to close the gap between them and the rest of that division. I know earlier this week, Ron Rivera, their head coach, was asked about what's the gap and why is there a gap in between Washington and the rest of this division, and he simply said quarterback, tried to walk those statements back. Probably wasn't the right thing to say, clearly wasn't the right thing to say. He was then asked about that again after the game, and some other reports that he just, there's reports that Carson really wasn't his guy, that Carson was Dan Snyder's guy, and Ron Rivera didn't really want him to be. Ron Rivera had a pretty passionate response to that question in the post-game press conference last night.
So honestly, I'm gonna speak my mind for a second. It's been hard. It really has. You lose 4 games in a row, and everybody wants to get you, just get on you. And they've played their asses off. They have. They played their asses off for everybody. They come out and they show up. They work hard. All right. They don't complain. Okay. They hear all this stuff and they got to deal with it. I get that. And I respect them for that because they're resilient. They come back. Everybody keeps wanting to say, I didn't want anything to do with Carson. Well, I'm the guy that pulled out the sheets of paper, that looked at the analytics, that watched the tape in the when we were at Indianapolis. Okay? And that's what pisses me off. Because the young man doesn't deserve to have that all the time. I'm sorry, I'm done.
Just walks away. Pretty passionate there. And you can say he's acting, he's just feeding it up to the camera because of what happened earlier in the week, but that's a passionate response by a passionate coach in Ron Rivera, and I still think their coaching's a little bit behind the times, and I think it's more so their offensive coordinator, Scott Turner, who's with the Vikings. It's not an imaginative offense. They don't really do enough there to get people open and get some plays that are actually effective, but also that team it hasn't played very well. But I like that passion kind of defense of the quarterback there from Ron.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to, in my opinion, to pick up from what he said the week before. There's
earlier in the week, yeah.
This whole culture, man, with Washington, and I heard it earlier today on another sports show, and I was thinking the same thing, man. There's There is not a good fit right now in Washington. There's not a good culture. And there's so much other bad news just around the NFL as it is. And you talk about the Commanders, their owner, and the comments that he's made throughout the week. There's just not good things happening throughout parts of the NFL, especially with Washington right now. And that plays into it as much as you don't want it to.
Micah, anything to say about the win last night for Carson and the Commanders?
I can say that the Commanders...
He can't say it, apparently.
Can't talk right now. I'm choking up because I was so sad that the Bears lost. No, I'm kidding. I'm not against Carson Wentz, obviously. I'm an NDSU fan. I'm not against Carson Wentz. I was not a believer in the Commanders as a team. Because when I look at the Chicago Bears, I saw them face the Vikings. I saw them almost beat the Vikings, which we believe that the Vikings are a good team. The Bears were at home. I thought the Bears were going to win. And, yeah, they
thought Carson was going to turn it over a time or two.
I thought the Bears would have forced a turnover or two.
Had a couple of interceptions. Didn't happen.
Maybe a fumble.
Point that one out.
Maybe a fumble.
Point that one out. Didn't happen. Carson hater.
Get some pressure on Carson
Carson's the king
Wentz.
of Thursday night. 7-0 on Thursday Night Football. He's the anti-Kirk Cousins primetime. Here comes Carson Wentz walking in 7-0 Thursday Night Football. Wasn't a great performance overall, but they won the game. Nice win for Carson and the crew. They're just being a little funny, poking some fun. 2 predictions so far. The Rams were going to kill the 49ers, and they lost. And Carson's going to throw a pick, and the Commanders are going to lose to the Bears. Didn't happen either.
Don't trust me. If you guys are sports bettors, don't listen to me. Go the opposite of me.
That's one thing I've learned in our short time together here on the show. By the way, tomorrow in the tailgate lot, make sure you look out for myself and Chris Hansen. We'll be giving away the tailgater of the game from Twin Peaks. We'll be in the tailgate lot looking for that tailgater of the game. Twin Peaks, a great spot, great addition to the local food scene. If you're a fan of Twin Peaks, sign up for the E-Club to stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Visit TwinPeaksRestaurants.com. Eats, drinks, scenic views at Twin Peaks. We'll give you a $100 gift card to Twin Peaks if you are our tailgater of the game. Take our final break. We'll come back, wrap things up for you, and end things for the week until tomorrow with that Dakota Marker game.
This is the Insiders on your exclusive home for North Dakota State Athletics, Bison 1660.
For 103 years, Wimmers Diamonds has been helping you celebrate special moments. Celebrate the precious little addition to your family. Celebrate that exceptional achievement. And celebrate love. We invite you to visit us at our inviting new showroom and let us help you find that perfect, beautiful reminder to celebrate your special moments of love. Wimmers, 4582 32nd Avenue South in Fargo.
Invest in your community with Epic Companies. Hey, this is Mac. Have you been looking to diversify your portfolio and dive into real estate? We offer multiple types of investing through our mixed-use buildings and entertainment plazas. If you are an accredited investor and interested in hearing more about the investment process and how you can be part of enhancing the quality of life in the area, visit EpicCompaniesND.com to review our investment options. That's EpicCompaniesND.com.
New 2022 Honda Pilots are in stock now at Corwin Honda. This 8-passenger all-wheel drive SUV comes standard with an auto start, heated seats, and Honda Sensing. Current Honda owners can receive $750 lease loyalty cash toward the lease of a new 2022 Pilot, or $1,000 loyalty cash when you purchase a new Pilot. See dealer for details. Corwin Honda has over 40 new Pilots available to choose from, all colors and trim levels. Shop Corwin Honda today. Online, CorwinAuto.com.
Today is National Dessert Day. Head over to Twin Peaks and end your ultimate meal with something sweet, like the crispy apple turnover, cinnamon toast crunch cheesecake, or a simply delicious Twin Peaks sundae. At the Lodge, there is always room for dessert. Your weekends just got better. Brunch is now being served at your local Twin Peaks. Wake up with the scratch favorites you love and classic brunch drinks that won't break the bank. Contact Twin Peaks for availability and more details. Twin Peaks eats, drinks, scenic views.
Dakota Refrigeration has been helping the Bison succeed behind the scenes. From their training room to their dining room, from milk to medicine, from ice to ice cream, Dakota Refrigeration has been serving Minnesota, Montana, and the Dakotas for over 4 decades. Locally owned and operated since 1974, Dakota Refrigeration is a full-service source for your refrigeration, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and electrical needs. Dakota Refrigeration, located in Fargo, Bismarck, and Minot.
Farmers Mutual of Nebraska.
Proudly serving Bison Nation with reliable insurance coverage for your auto, farm, and home. Powered by unmatched financial strength and a prompt claim service team, let us put our more than 130 years of industry experience to work for you. Visit fmne.com to contact your local agent for a quote today. Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, always alongside you.
This is NDSU head men's basketball coach Dave Richmond, and you're listening to The Insiders on your home for NDSU athletics, Bison 1660.
Basketball season not too far away. By the way, there's a new event, new fan engagement event with the winter sports like men's basketball, women's basketball, and wrestling. The Bison Bash taking place at Kingpin's Social, just in the south side of Fargo over by Sweet Shots, and that will be taking place. Winter sport athletes, you can play some of the games. I think there's bowling and laser tag for free, other things at cost, but you can go there and experience that. The Bison Bash, a fun new fan engagement event that will be coming here during the winter sports season to kind of get you ready for everything NDSU during the winter.
Some whack-a-mole, except whack-a-mole, they have rabbits.
Yes, rabbit season.
That needs to happen.
Absolutely does. And that will be on October 26th, by the way. October 26th at Kingpin Social, Bison Bash with NDSU Athletics. A first-time event, which is a great thing that NDSU is kind of doing to get their student-athletes back out there with the public, some young kids out there. I'm sure you can get posters, schedules, all that kind of stuff with those winter sports athletes and coaches. It's going to be a fun time there. Bison Bash, brought to you by WDAY, held on October 26th. This hour of the Insiders on our Friday brought to you by Wimmer's Diamonds. And Wimmer's Diamonds for 103 years. They've watched you fall in love and stay in love, providing beautiful reminders to celebrate all your special moments. Wimmer's Diamonds, 4582 32nd Avenue South in Fargo for their new showroom. Now, just about do it for the show today. One thing we got to do before we say goodbye is pick the winner of our Ultimate Tailgate Package. The keyword this week was marker. And if you didn't already see that or hear about it, well, I'm sorry. We let you know. It's on our Facebook page. Go there and find out the keyword every week. We'll have the next one up for you early on next week, too. So a different keyword every week for our Ultimate Tailgate Package, which is brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the Bison. And the winner this week of the Ultimate Tailgate Package for NDSU at SDSU Week, who texted in the keyword marker, the winner is... There we go. Mike is on top of it. Didn't even tell him to do this. The winner... Ultimate Tailgate Package, Bud Light, official beer of the Bison, is Josh Heath. Josh Heath, congratulations. You are the winner of our Ultimate Tailgate Package from Bud Light this week.
Way to go, Josh. Congratulations. It's going to be a great Ultimate Package.
If you didn't win that, you can still win a free night stay, Homewood Suites in Fargo. All you got to do is go to our Facebook page, Bison1660. Look for the Call Your Shot graphic and post. Comment on that post with your thoughts, your prediction for the score, final score prediction, NDSU, SDSU. Comment on that post. Whoever is closest to the final score will win a free night stay, courtesy of Homewood Suites. And again, if you're out in that tailgate lot, look out for us. I'll be out there. Chris Hansen will be out there. We're looking for the tailgater of the game. Who's got the most Bison pride out there in the tailgate lot? Our tailgater of the game, brought to you by Twin Peaks Online, TwinPeaksRestaurants.com. Eats, drinks, scenic views, and sign up for their e-club. They stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Rob, got a few hours, but feeling ready?
More than ready. And hey, I cannot jinx it. I have to say it every time. Horns up and go Bison.
Absolutely. It is rabbit season. Inside the Dome tomorrow, 2:30 kickoff, 8:30. Our coverage starts in the morning with the Bison Report Show. Network pregame at 1:30. Rob, Phil, and Cole. Going to be a great game. Looking forward to it, folks. Thanks for listening all week long. Back with you again on Monday from 11 to 1. Horns up. Go Bison. Beat the Bunnies.
Farmers helping farmers. That's the driving force behind EGE Products. Being owned and operated by farmers gives EGE Products a unique advantage in the market. They understand the crucial need for protecting your costly investment in chemical and fertilizer applications. EGE Products will not only save your farm money, but also time with their ease of use and required label approvals. Visit EGEBio.com or call 888-679-5103 to find